charts. Every number one for 83 in the press. Ow! Every number one on the orange owl. Every number one for 83 in the press. Every number one on the orange charts. Every number one for 83 in the press. Ow! Every number one on the orange charts. Every number one for 83 in the press. And 83 in the press. Wow! Yowza!
Hello, I'm Ben.
Hello, I'm Tom.
And you're listening to Sunglasses at Night podcast. The year is 2012.
It sure is. This is the podcast where we put on our magical time Ray-Bans and travel back to a year in musical history through the old ARIA charts, Australian Recording Industry Association charts, and look at the top number one songs for that year, all year, and this year is 2012.
2012.
So cast yourself back a decade in the past and get comfy.
Did someone predict the world was going to end this year? I think I've asked that question before. I feel like in this period of time, there were several years where someone said you don't get it much now. I don't see many news headlines about that, but I feel like around this period it was like, oh yeah, 2012, that's it. We're done for this year.
Yes, I believe it was the Aztec or Mayan calendar supposedly predicted that
2012 we were done for. They were off.
So the sophisticated minds at ISL Crystals for a Living HQ overlaid the Mayan calendar, written, 1,000 years ago, onto the modern Judeo-Christian calendar, which has been changed several times over the last couple of thousand years, and came up with the year 2012. And they decided that the only way to cope with the impending apocalypse was to make a high-budget John Cusack vehicle.
Of course.
Predicting the coming ecological meltdown. Much like the film Armageddon, it was all too true.
For sure. I mean, if you've purchased a Dawson's Creek 2012 calendar and you're crossing off the days, counting from, like 1,000, you've got some other... You started off with sort of an A-team calendar from 87, and then you've sort of crossed the days off and you've counted forward and you've got to the point and you're saying, end of the world's today. You want to make sure that you're not missing any days. You've accidentally carried the one. You've done something wrong because those guys got it wrong, and here we are. We're here to talk about it today, Tom.
Yes,
they're off.
Sure.
So there we go.
Back then, conspiracy theories seemed a lot more harmless than they do now.
People predicted the world was going to end.
Nobody got shot over that. Nobody died. Yeah.
There were people that believed it was going to end, and then everyone else just laughed at them, and everyone went, "Oh, you fucking idiots!" Whereas nowadays, there's a lot more stabbings, isn't there? So.
Yeah. I'm sure. Well, what was happening in the world in 2012, you ask? London held the Summer Olympics, and the UK even won some medals, which was fun. And, of course, we all remember the famous London Olympic mascots. Don't we, Ben? You remember them?
I do. Tell me about them.
As you no doubt clearly recalled, they were called Wenlock and Mandeville.
Yep.
And in a throwback to Atlanta, both looked like giant silver one-eyed sperms with legs. They were no Vucco, I'll tell you that much.
No, absolutely. The Sarajevo guy.
Yeah, they really hit it on the head in 84 with that guy. On the other hand, I thought the logo was cool, even though it copped a lot of shit. Some people even suggested that it looked like Lisa from The Simpsons giving someone a blowjob. Not sure what those guys have been smoking, but give me some. I mean, what was the Sydney Olympics logo? I don't know.
Like a banana or some sort of
shit
pro-hard bullshit. Yeah. Look, I recall at the time, before the 2012 Olympics, I was living in the UK, and my wife, she'd gone out one night to a pub, and a dude was like, I don't know whether he might have been trying to hit her, I'm not sure, but basically said, you know that I designed the Olympic mascots. And she was like, this is before they were announced. She said, oh, really? He's like, yeah, I've got a picture of them on my phone if you want. So she showed them. She was showing them by this guy. She said, can I take? And the guy's like, no, it's completely, confidential. They haven't been announced yet. And she was like, you sure it's that? Like, they look fucking garbage. And then she tried to explain them what they were. And then maybe a few months later they were announced. And she's like, oh, that's what the guy... That was
so
actually
he
the
did have
photo.
a
He did
picture.
have them.
Wow.
And then I was like,
Man.
oh, yeah, they are fucking garbage. So...
Shouts out for the weirdest pickup game I've ever
Absolutely,
heard.
I know. I designed these fucking garbage dump mascots, so that was great. And my wife wasn't. She was able to describe them to some degree, but not perfectly accurate. Because if you've ever seen them, I mean, I don't even know what the fuck that's going on with that. But
Yeah, like a lot of Japanese city destroying monsters, they somehow manage to look like people wearing rubber suits, even when they're just drawn. It's hard to explain.
yeah, I know what you mean.
They look somehow fake, even when they're not real. Okay, what else happened? Oh, Winnie the Pooh became leader of China and immediately launched a wide-ranging corruption inquiry, which, in an astonishing coincidence, put all of his political opponents in jail or in an unmarked grave. Piglet couldn't believe it, but Eeyore said this was just only the start and that the honey-obsessed Ursine would soon elect himself dictator for life and start annexing islands in the South China Sea. So, Christopher Robin was really disappointed there, in the behaviour of that silly old bear.
I like when someone is, sort of, despite the fact that they're the leader of, the biggest country on earth, population-wise, that they're so insecure that when someone on a fucking social media network says it looks a bit like Winnie the Pooh, it's like, we're banning Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
That's banned now because you can't. It's sort of like, why don't you just go, let them have their fun and whatever, But
this is where you can tell when something's starting to turn into a dictatorship the minute they become terrified of any criticism of the leader. Communism's not supposed to be a dictatorship. You should be able to theoretically criticise the leader, but no. And same with Putin in Russia. If you're actually in a democracy, then you should be able to criticise the leader. When you criticise the leader and you start showing up with poisoned baked beans for breakfast, then you're not actually in a democracy anymore.
Did you know, Tom, that it was around this time that time travel films were illegal in China?
Really?
You couldn't show a time travel film because the idea was that people might get the idea that they could travel back in time and destroy communism. So you didn't want to plant the seed that, hey, if you could invent a time machine, which we know is scientifically impossible, that you may be able to travel back and then destroy the system that we have now.
I suppose there's one other possibility, which is that China actually has invented a time machine and
true.
hedging their bets
They are.
just in case it escapes Wuhan style.
Exactly. But they've got rid of that now. I think you can watch. I think one of the superhero films had a time travel component. They went, we can't, let people sort of think about that.
They're certainly not afraid of citizens discovering the possibility of flying cars if the Fast and the Furious film success in China is easy to go by. What else? Yes, in the US, Obama was re-elected to president despite winning a clear majority of votes. Although his opponent Mitt Romney still managed far more votes than Donald Trump did when he lost to Hillary Clinton at the next election. Much like Corbyn or Malcolm Turnbull, Romney was hampered by a lack of support within his own party due to his ability to experience the human emotion shame. He really never recovered from that.
No.
The top 10 movies of the year comprised of 7 sequels, 2 adaptations.
7 of the 10 were sequels. Fuck.
1 reboot and 0 original ideas.
Good.
But there was, for a change, 1 genuine, legit movie hit song, which was Skyfall by Adele. That was number 5 in Australia and a number 1 all over Europe and 2 in the UK. So
where does that rank on your... I know that you have a definitive Bond song list, Tom. You carry it around in your wallet. I've seen it several times. Where does that rank?
Well, I know some people would put that, like I said, I think I might have said last week, but definitely top of the, certainly of the millennium, possibly of the 90s as well, unless you've got a hard-on for... I don't mind GoldenEye by Tina Turner, written by The Edge, I think. But really, realistically, other than that, unless you're a big fan of Sheryl Crow doing Die Another Day, and even that looks pretty good when you put it next to Madonna. No, sorry, Madonna doing Die Another Day.
Yep.
And this has 2 of the worst. The last 20 years have 2 of the worst, which are Die Another Day by Madonna and people absolutely loathe the Jack White Alicia Keys one.
Oh, yeah.
I don't hate that, but it is a weird choice for a Bond song.
What was going down in the newest Bond film, Tom? Who was involved in that one?
The last one was Billie Eilish.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of a minimal one. It's it's inoffensive.
Yeah.
It's still better than the one before that, which was that Sam Smith bullshit.
Yeah, that sucked. Yeah.
Yeah. And
has Billy Idol ever done one? Speaking of people named Billy, that would have been great.
No, he hasn't. But there's some great stuff in the 80s.
Yep.
I'm a big fan of the two Timothy Dalton ones, which were Living Daylights by Aha.
Yep.
And what is it? License to Kill by another 80s.
Duran didn't pop that one, did they?
No. Duran did View to a Kill.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, hang on. Who did License to Kill? Sorry, this is all extremely relevant to
the ARIA charts.
Yes.
Oh, look, I feel like people need to know about the very finest in the Bond songs.
Yes. Oh, God damn it. Gladys Knight.
Yeah,
but it's
fantastic.
all synth all the way, plus some mad strings. That's a great song too. There have been shitty ones, don't get me wrong. Okay, what else happened? That was about it.
Friend of the podcast, Whitney.
Friend of the podcast, yes. Yeah, she passed away tragically, aged 48. I remembered her being older than that, but
yeah. I thought she was, but yeah.
It was a sad day, it really was. Because she died sort of, a lot of these people, your people like your Robin Williamses, your bloody the Joker guy, Heath Ledger and stuff, they're struggling in private and then they suddenly pass away, but, even Bowie sort of kept his sort of cancer under wraps. But Whitney was like one of those public tragedies like Amy Winehouse where everybody knows what's going to happen and it's completely predictable, but nobody seems to have any power to stop it fucking happening. But, yeah. Fortunately, for fans of timeless musicianship and powerful vocals, their spirits were lifted in 2012 by another artist who rose to take Whitney's place. That Korean guy who did Gangnam Style.
Of course, definitely.
Who has, spanned the world the same way that Whitney once did.
Yep.
Yeah, let's hope he never meets Bobby Brown.
Indeed. Look, it was sad, when Whitney passed away. I think I just listened to How Will I Know, just on loop, like an endless loop. Great song.
A great song.
Written by my favourite artist of all time, Boy Meets Girl, as we've talked about before, Tom. So,
I'm a big Somebody Who Loves Me fan, and let's not forget that Osama bin Laden was also a big Whitney fan.
He was.
Who would have thought all of these people were united together in one? One
I really hope that when that one of the two planes was flying into the World Trade Center, it was just sort of like Osama bin Laden playlist, just cranking out for the passengers. So at least when that plane crashed in and everyone died, they were listening to some, Whitney. I think.
Yes, that's some early period.
I think
dance bangers.
Yeah, hopefully, not. You don't want to die crashing into a building while listening to the theme song from The Bodyguard. I wouldn't.
No, not the second side of the album.
No,
certainly.
Definitely. What were the big films of the year? Did you?
Well, Skyfall was one of them. I'm sorry, I didn't
That's
have
all right. They're all sequels. We don't.
It was all nonsense. If you just the last 2 fucking years.
Just sequels a go.
Yeah.
So it's not a new phenomenon now where we just look at the top films of the year and say it's all superhero shit or some sequel or whatever. They've been pumping that out for at least 10 years.
They were The Master.
Argo.
Les Miserables, The Dark Knight Rises, Django Unchained, Moonrise Kingdom, Silver Linings. Hang on, these are not the top 10 films.
These are just ones that people
These are just
declared
people like.
as being
Yeah,
fine.
sorry.
That's okay. Look, I think it's safe to say that no one cares about any of the films from 2012. Did the film 2012 come out that year at least? Did the John Cusack End of the World vehicle come out that year? I assume that they at least timed that.
It must
correctly.
have, surely.
Yeah.
Definitely. No, it didn't. It came out in 2009.
Good.
God, that shows what my fucking memory's like.
All
yes,
good.
Okay.
Cool.
The top 10 were The Avengers.
Oh, yep.
Sequel, The Dark Knight Rises, sequel, The Hunger Games, adaptation, Skyfall, sequel, Twilight Saga, Breaking Dawn, Part 2, sequel, The Amazing Spider-Man, reboot, Brave, original, The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey, adaptation, Ted, a film about a talking teddy bear, and Madagascar 3, Europe's Most Wanted.
Good.
Yeah, so unless you count the dwarfs doing the washing up song at the start of the Hobbit movie, then Skyfall was really the only song. But as we've said, like, whole years go by now when there's no movie songs worth speaking of. Really, nothing that troubles the charts anyway.
Exactly. Hopefully, Bryan Adams is working away at home, tinkering until they come calling, and then
I'd like to think that he, Rod Stewart, and Sting are still at the nursing home. Walkers in a circle, snapping their fingers as best their arthritic hands can manage, and trying to come up with another banger.
Oh, indeed. Look, should we move on to the music?
Yeah, please. Let's actually get to the music.
All right, cool. So, 2nd of Jan.
Sorry, one thing. I always forget to say this. If anyone's listening and you want to follow along, hit up the YouTube link in the description. That will take you to a playlist of all of the songs if you want to actually interject with bits of... Yeah, we'd like to put them in here. Maybe one day we will, but at the moment the cost of One Republic CDs is simply too high.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cool, so that's right. All the video clips are there so you can watch them and see how fucking garbage most of them are. So,
or if you need to remind yourself what the fuck LMFAO were, and you... God,
so here we are. That's it.
LMFAO were. That's a lot of vowels in quick succession.
So 2nd of Jan for 2 more weeks. Yes, it is LMFAO sexy, and I know it. We talked about this last week. Tom, you got anything else to say?
And they didn't know it. We covered them pretty well last week. After this, they packed up their joke wigs and leopard print budgie smugglers and fucked off into the sunset, never to be seen again apart from their inevitable 2025 reunion tour. So keep an eye out for that.
Look, last week I forgot to look at the Spotify and Discogs prices. I don't know what happened, but so because I didn't do it, LMFAO 7.6 mil on Spotify.
Wow,
I assume that sexy, and I know it's on some fucking garbage dump playlist.
What was the other one? They had two.
Who the fuck knows? Yeah, I've forgotten. But yeah.
Whatever the other one was.
And this will cost you $6.84, which seems like a bad investment in these recessionary times.
You'd be better off spending that on leopard print budgies.
I think so, exactly. So 2 weeks of that. So on to the first new song of the year, 16th of Jan, for 1 week, Tom. It's Foster the People, Pumped Up Kicks.
It sure is. Straight off the bat with the rare thing for the number one charts, and our annual, if you're lucky, indie breakout hit.
Mm-hmm.
This was at number 3 for 8 weeks on the US charts, but it started as a free online download, which led to a multi-album record deal, and it was the first alternative chart number 1 to crack the US top 5 since Kings of Leon back in 2009.
Yep.
So this doesn't happen all that often anymore. Certainly.
Yeah, a bit of a 3-year break there, and even now it's pretty rare to see an independent artist without a record deal.
Yeah, make it to... It was much more common in the 90s when they were sort of... Record companies were deliberately seeking out this kind of stuff. Nowadays, you pretty much have to have 200 million...
Spotify.
Instagram followers before people will leave into it. Mark Foster wrote the song in 5 hours, shortly after he formed the band that same year while working as a jingle writer for advertising.
Yeah, look, interesting, Tom. Look, I'm calling it, and you can agree or disagree, but 99% of the time when there's an indie crossover into the mainstream, it's worse than what the mainstream dishes up quite often.
It's certainly no guarantee of quality, certainly. Because...
Exactly, but you mentioned working as a jingle writer. This was actually the most streamed song on US Spotify.
Oh, okay.
So
that year?
So Spotify launched July 14, 2011 in the US.
Okay, so it's only a year old at this point. Yeah,
so from the time that Spotify launched in July 2011 to the end of that year, so that 6-month period, this was the most streamed song on Spotify. So in its first 12 months, first 6 months, I guess, because only half a year, this is what the people wanted. And another Foster the People track, Helena Beat, was the 5th most streamed song of the same period. So that first period of Spotify, Foster the People, that was the band that everyone wanted to hear. So there you go.
Yeah, on the day of recording, Foster debated between songwriting in the studio and going to the beach. He explained, I really didn't have anything to do that day. I was standing there in the studio and this thought came in my mind like, I'm going to write a song. And then I was like, I don't really feel like writing. I don't want to write a song. I was a block away from the beach and it was a beautiful day. I kind of just wanted to be lazy, go hang out at the beach or whatever. But I just forced myself to write a song. And by that time, the next day, the song was finished. Now, I've heard a lot of other artists talk about this as well. Like, I'm not inspired right now. I've got writer's block, he continued. I'm just not really feeling anything. And I've felt that way too, just not being inspired and wanting to wait for inspiration to come before I wrote. But I wasn't inspired when I wrote Pumped Up Kicks, and that's what came out. So it just solidified the notion that perspiration is more powerful than inspiration.
Yep.
Thinking that he was just recording a demo, he played all the instruments on the song, and using the software Logic Pro, he arranged and edited the song himself. That demo was ultimately the version of the song that you're listening to on the album. Okay. So he really did kind of... It's not quite Taxi Club, because he didn't come up within 15 minutes on the way to the studio while someone else did the hard work.
But he knocked it all out himself with all instruments in basically a day.
Yeah, and that's what you're actually listening to. Like Kylie's vocals on that song, the one where they just went, no, the first
take's fine.
Yeah.
Done. Cool.
No, that's not
That's
bad.
Impressive.
Yeah. What do you think? I still kind of like this song. It's catchy and weird, I reckon.
Oh, yeah, look, when
I
said before about the sort of indie thing, I wasn't necessarily referring to this song like, often there's that crossover, and sometimes it's like, it doesn't sound like pop music, but it's a bit, sometimes it's garbage. This is like, it's a weird, unusual-ish song to be number one. I just remember at the time, you couldn't go 5 metres out of your house without hearing it, so I never need to hear it again. But,
sure, yeah, no,
but
fair enough.
for that reason. But at the time, I didn't hate it. I wasn't like, fuck this song. So yeah, it was fine at the time. And look, I think you're right. I think it's sort of compared to some of the other shit we'll have to talk about later. So it's a lot
really
better.
Does. It kind of reminds me of the 90s, back when your Crash Test Dummies or your fucking... that guy from the Kids soundtrack, you could just have some weird ass,
There was a feeling anything could get to number one. Whereas
if you had a catchy chorus, even if it was bizarre, you could,
yeah. What about you, Tom? Do you like the whole concept of him just putting it together himself in a very brief period of time?
Yeah. Well, on the one hand, I kind of hate that story because it reminds me...
Tell me more, please.
Sure. It reminds me of all the times when I was too lazy to do something creative and just went for a bike ride instead, how I could have actually been writing a hit song and becoming attractive to women for the first time in my life. I've said before that the curse of the lazy creative is just gradually watching over the years all of your best ideas be made by someone else. Not because they copied them, unless you're some weird tinfoil hat person, but just because there's only so many ideas in the world, and if you don't do something with it, eventually someone else is going to come up with the same idea, unless it's the fucking special theory of relativity or something that you're keeping to yourself. There's only so many song ideas and TV show ideas.
What if a high school teacher had to sell drugs?
That's right.
For his cancer
I
thing.
came up with the idea that a guy touched radioactive waste and got special powers. God damn it.
Yeah.
You owe me a lot of money, the entire cinema industry of 2022. But on the other hand, what if the hit song that you did come up with when you forsook your bike ride or trip to the beach and instead stuck in the studio, what if the hit song was My Humps or Where Is the Love?
Exactly.
Then all the roots in the world couldn't erase the karmic debt, and you'd end up racked with guilt and strung out on fentanyl in a giant purple mansion shaped like a cock, Prince style, Now, which of those options is better for the world in general, Ben? Do you reckon? Bike ride or fentanyl overdose after riding
for
My Humps?
Humps, it's definitely a fentanyl overdose, I think. You sort of... There's a lot of the time
You mean bike ride, possibly?
Do I? No, I mean... Oh, sorry, bike ride to not write the song.
Yes. Fentanyl overdose, we still have to put up with the fallout.
If only Will.i.am had gone for a bike ride and had a fentanyl overdose.
That's right.
I think you're absolutely right. You do look at that and sort of think to yourself, I could have just created something so shit that, it's not sort of really worthwhile me of creating anything at all.
Yeah.
For this song personally, look, I don't hold, I do hold a bit of a grudge, but and that it's a personal thing though, Tom. The reason that I hold that grudge is it's a little bit too close to home to a song that I wrote around this time a few years earlier about my experience working in the marketing department for the manufacture of penis enlargement equipment. I wrote a song about that experience called Pumped Up Dicks.
Sure.
So, and I feel like that this band stole that song title, they stole the lyrics, they even stole the band name. My band at the time was called Foster the Penis,
Sure.
and no one in the band was really impressed. So I think just to paint it,
Especially as your surname's not even Foster.
No, exactly.
Just wanted to
Foster
have
the
that there.
Penis, and I guess, you know, just for a bit of context, so my job at the time was I was working in that marketing department where I was looking at regular erections and then erections that had been pumped up with the manufacturing equipment that the company I worked for made.
Sure.
So, and then sort of looking at the pumped up dicks versus the regular dicks, and then trying to find, you know, before and after shots of like weight loss, etc. So it's effectively that, like trying to find the best dicks, both regular and pumped up, and then sort of putting them into a pamphlet, a catalogue, so that people could see the handiwork and they'd go out and buy that. So that's what the job was. So, and I, from what I understand, that was sort of the same scenario that inspired the Fergal Sharkley hit a good cock these days. It's hard to find, perhaps. But anyway, so that was the job that I was doing, and I wrote this song, and my band, we thought we were going to be huge, and then all of a sudden, Foster the People come along. They've stolen the whole concept. They've stolen everything about it. And I think when you're in a band, Tom, sometimes, you can have the talent, you can have the songwriting chops, you practice a lot, and one thing can come along and sort of destroy all of that.
True.
And Foster the Penis broke up pretty soon after Foster the People had their big hit, because me and the band would go into places, you'd be in a supermarket, the song would come on, you'd sort of... all of the, you'd turn on Rage, you'd turn on, Channel V, whatever you were doing, you'd hear this song, because as I mentioned, it was everywhere. And I think it just got a little bit too much to handle for the other band members, knowing that we could have been the ones that made it. And for me personally as well, I was walking around all day with just images of erections in my head, because of course their song was reminding me of my work as well. So it was just sort of, so when I hear their lyrics, all I can think of my lyrics were all those other kids with the pumped up dicks, and realise that it is just sort of very much what I was doing. So, yeah, that was the end of the band, and I guess I do have a little bit of a sort of, ill feeling to Foster the People.
Sure.
So that's me. So I don't like the song, but that's that. I can't really be objective, Tom. What about yourself?
No, I don't mind it, I must admit. But, I didn't have an ill-fated project that, was forced off the radio due to its similarity.
You weren't looking at pumped up dicks. And that's the other thing. I mean, we did take them to court, and the judge once again said, there's absolutely no way anyone on the planet could have possibly heard this, quote, so-called music, end quote. So that was just another fucking kick in the guts.
Perhaps if you'd gone into partnership with them and released a range of, dick expansion equipment.
Yeah. Well, the company I work for prohibited me from doing so. So
yes.
When you leave a job and there's that sort of they put so you can't do the same thing for too long.
It's like those patent farmers you read about.
Yeah, exactly.
So how are they doing?
What are the lyrics to this song about, Tom?
Oh, sure. Well, as mentioned, they're all writing and production credit goes to one guy, Mark Foster. Now, as you probably figured out, the song is about a school shooter. He found a 6-shooter gun in his dad's closet with a box of fun things. I don't even know what, but he's coming for you. Yeah, he's coming for you. All the other kids with the pumped up kicks. You better run, outrun my gun. Which I'm assuming, I think he's talking about the rich kids at the school.
Yep.
Due to the song's lyrics, it was temporarily pulled from circulation on certain US radio stations in response to the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting. So, glad they banned that song. What's your favourite school shooting song, Ben? Teenage Dirtbags? You like Jeremy by Pearl Jam? I Don't Like Mondays by Bob Geldof? Smooth Operator by Sade? Read between the lines, it's there.
Probably Teenage Dirtbag, I think, that snare sound alone. But no, it's hard to know. There's so many great ones, isn't there? And I think it's a genre that's going to continue to increase because the US don't seem to be interested in putting any sort of stop to people's access to weapons. But
it's kind of nuts. When I was in high school, I remember my brother was a big fan of the Bachman books. Do you know the Bachman books?
Yeah.
Yeah, Stephen King did a collection of a bunch of short stories written under an assumed name, because they weren't horror and, that thing that board writers sometimes do where they want to prove that they can get successful even if people don't know they're J.K. Rowling or whatever.
Yeah.
And one of them is one of the stories, I think it's called Rage, and it's about a kid who goes into class one day with a gun and basically takes his class hostage due to his feelings of rage at, the way he's been unfairly treated and so on. And it turns into this kind of siege situation, and the kids end up sympathising with him, and I think he kills his teacher or something like that.
Yeah.
And, back then, that was considered a weird turn of events, enough to write a whole quarter of a book about.
Nowadays, it's like you couldn't get that published because it's too close to home. Or
Yeah.
It's just too normal.
Not only that, but I think Stephen King's actually disowned it because he said, I wouldn't write something like that nowadays because back then that was a rare enough occurrence that, it was an uncommon... It was not even rare, but it's an unheard of thing, and that I could make the character sympathetic.
Yeah.
Whereas nowadays it happens once a day, and I certainly wouldn't write a sympathetic story about a guy like that.
Yeah. I should point out that Pumped Up Dicks wasn't about a school shooting.
Okay.
So I think, long term, it probably would have had more... longevity, I think.
Well, Pumped Up Kicks, like Teenage Dirtbag, is more about the preempting the school shooting, whereas Jeremy and I Don't Like Mondays are very much the aftermath of the shooting. So I suppose you could argue that no one's actually been murdered in this song yet.
No.
But they just, if they can't run fast enough, they probably are.
Exactly.
Always remember to fully inflate your Reebok pumps before trying to outrun a school shooter.
Oh, indeed.
You don't want to go down the hallways underinflated.
No, exactly right. Agreed. So, Foster the People, 12 million Spotify listeners a month.
They must have had other songs, other hits that people like, or albums
not
that people like.
But they were the original Spotify band, though, as we learned.
Sure.
They were in the very infancy of Spotify. They were super popular, so there you go. And this would cost you $5.78.
Oh, okay.
So all the CD singles now are costing a bit of cash.
Yes.
It's not like the old days where you can pick one up for 23 cents.
Kind of surprised they're still printing CDs at this point, but
exactly.
I suppose not. I suppose Spotify only just came out last year, so fair enough.
Exactly right.
All right, I wonder when Tidal comes out. I'm looking forward to that.
Yep.
Okay, who's up next?
Well, up next, Tom, it's a friend of the podcast, Flow Rider, featuring Sia. With Wild Ones.
Wow, yes, 6 weeks.
Yes, 6 fucking long weeks.
This is a big one. I remember this one, this is homegrown Aussie girl Sia's first appearance on our charts to date.
Yeah.
Although in grand pop dance backup vocal tradition, she is mimed by a more attractive woman in the video. Yes. Unusually, as stated before, I think this has only happened once before, it's a white singer being mimed by a more attractive black woman. Normally it's the other way around. According to Sia, this was another Taxi Club. She wrote the non-rap part of the song in 15 minutes, but didn't want her vocals on it. Then, quote, they asked me to record the vocals for Wild Ones over and over for almost 6 months. Eventually I said, okay, but don't put my name on it. I was angry because we'd already had this discussion. My manager said to me, I don't think I really believed you that you didn't want to be credited or get the recognition you deserve. So he put it on anyway. Again, that kind of already happened with the Blowjob anthem.
Of course, yeah.
Was that Flow Rider as well? Yeah, Flow Rider featuring Kesha, and she didn't want her name on that one. At least this wasn't a song about begging people to send you dick pics.
Yeah, like that. Look, you only really need one song about perching yourself up on the seat of a public toilet in such a manner as to get the perfect angle on that snatch selfie, Tom. I think that's sort of
right.
I think it's a one-time deal in terms of songwriting.
I mean, I know how they feel, though. I was equally upset when Kevin Bloody Wilson insisted on crediting me for the bongos on Living Next Door to Abbo's. I mean, it never looks good in a job interview, no matter how many times I explain that it was purely for tax purposes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Look, how do you rate this one? I know you're a big Flo Rida fan compared to some of his earlier work. Blowjob Anthem, Send Me Dick Pics Anthem.
Yeah, you're right, Tom. I'm a massive Flo Rida fan. What I like about Flo Rida is, A, it's a great name, but it's also just Florida with a space between Flo and Rida. So it works on a couple of levels, Tom, for those that didn't pick that up before. To be honest, Tom, this isn't Flo Rida's strongest material. I think I would sort of call this a weak as piss club banger. Or an alleged...
Yeah.
It's like an attempt at a club banger, but it doesn't really quite get there. Look, I'm not surprised that Sia didn't want her name attached to this.
She's done better vocals, certainly.
Yeah. And look, as you mentioned, she's one of Australia's most successful musicians, at least from a writing perspective, since, Shawnee B, I think, on that that TV radio song. But... Look, here's what I like about Sia. A, she didn't want to be part of this song. That's very smart to begin with, to sort of be like, look... I've heard the end result. Don't put me on there. And look, the other thing I like about her is that when she realised that she was getting too famous for a while. She was getting a bit too famous, for her own comfort levels anyway. So basically, she was recording songs, performing. She was getting kind of a bit bigger, and then she went
on MTV Awards and stuff.
So she wasn't feeling it, so she decided to step away from doing that and just write songs for other people, which was cool. Also, she stated that when she was younger, I think in her early 20s, that her partner passed away. I think she had a partner that was in a car accident. And she said she went on a drug and alcohol bender that lasted for 6 years.
Wow.
But she was still able to enjoy the life of 6 years and then get a way out of that to still have a successful career. So.
I also did that as well. I didn't have any partner died. I think it was just called being the ages of 20 to 26.
Yeah. So that, I do respect that when someone's like, look, I'm just gonna take a bit of time for me. I'm just gonna drink a lot, do a lot of drugs. I might do that for 5 years and then I'm gonna get back into music.
She always seemed very uninterested in her personal fame. Like, she consciously hid her appearance. Not in a wacky Lady Gaga, way, like, oh, now you see me, now you don't. I mean, in an actual, I don't want people to know what my face looks like particularly way.
Yeah, she's very much I like music, I like writing songs, I enjoy that. That's my creative outlet, and I like singing songs, I like performing, but that's the bit I like. The fame bit and the drive around the limo. I couldn't give two fucks about that.
Her biggest videos, like Chandelier and what's the one about?
There's one with Shia LaBeouf in a cage.
To have fun tonight. Yeah, her videos don't usually feature her anyway. It's like a kid dancing, or it's Shia LaBeouf in a cave, or it's Flo Rida.
Absolutely. And in 2015, she, in an interview with Rolling Stone about this song, she said, quote, "It's 100% cheese."
Hell yeah.
Explaining that while it helped her launch her career as a songwriter, it was not something that she would record herself. And I respect that, the fact that she'd done the work, she realised it's garbage, but she doesn't want to throw it away. She wants to monetise what she's done, but doesn't want to be associated with it. Take the paycheck and just go, I don't want my name on this, so massive respect to that.
Although, I guess if you are on this as a songwriter, then you'd get more money, wouldn't you?
Yeah. But the fact that she's like... But songwriter credits, people often don't bother reading those. So, it's, she didn't want the featuring bit on there. But there is... they're the things I like about her. I don't like everything about her. Here's one thing I don't like about Sia. At one point, she was a backing vocalist for Jamiroquai. That's it.
Oh, okay. So if you're at Woodstock 99
garbage,
and you had the choice of on two different stages, you've got Jamiroquai or the Umbilical Brothers, who are you going for?
I'm going the Umbilical Brothers, Tom. It's a controversial move, but I'm going to go and check those guys out with their wacky brand of sound effects, visual comedy.
Yeah.
Sounds very good.
They're like mimes, except they make noises.
Yeah. So
they've thought, what do mimes need? They need... There's an element missing from miming.
The fact that the Umbilical Brothers were booked for Woodstock 99, it still perplexes me to this day, Tom.
I mean, whoever their agent was that got them that gig, I mean, I take my motherfucking hat off to me. Unless he was on heroin and he saw them live or something else.
No doubt.
powerful pharmacological agent and thought they were the next coming of Jesus. I struggle to explain that, especially given that they're the only non-musical act on the entire.
Of course, exactly. Completely fucking bizarre. Now, look, so she's written this song. Sure. She said, "I'm not feeling it. I don't want my name associated with it." So it's obviously not, in her mind, one of her best songwriting credits. I'm interested to know what she probably thinks her best songwriting credit is, because for me, in terms of the best song she's written for another artist, that's clearly the song she penned for Kylie, Sexercise, Tom, which is a song about staying in shape through boning. And that explains why Kylie Minogue, at the age that she is now, is still in impeccable physical condition, has been in great physical condition for her whole life, because I can't imagine there's ever been a time in her life where she's struggled to find someone to deep dick her. So that's penned by Sia, performed by Kylie. If you've seen the music video, it's just Kylie Minogue in not a lot of clothes, on a fit ball. Sort of implying what it might be like for you to dick her.
That sounds like some of Kylie's earlier racier work, like your Michael Hutchins era or her, early aughts era. But
yeah, definitely.
Sure. Definitely. Oh, well, I didn't know she'd worked with Sia, but they're both from Australia, so hey, I guess it makes sense. Did you watch the video for this one?
I did.
Does not feature Sia, unfortunately.
It doesn't.
It's good to see that old Aunt Flo has gone from humble origins, as previously discussed, of doing a video standing on a rotating podium in front of a TV showing royalty-free images of other countries to the point where he can now film a party video on location in Florida and the real Dubai. And what is Dubai been, if not the Florida of the world?
Yeah, correct, Tom. Look, Dubai appears to be an attempt at building a cultured city constructed by people who've never been to a cultured city.
No,
so in many ways,
interest in living in one.
Exactly,
that have unlimited wealth.
Yeah, in many ways, it's identical to Miami, where somehow galleries, museums, live music, good restaurants, cultural events have been replaced by jet skis and glow-in-the-dark cocktails. But I assume cocaine probably has a lot to do with it. In the Miami sense, no excuse what Dubai, don't really know what Dubai's excuse is for constructing what they have. But look, Tom, this might be controversial, but I blame the Prophet Muhammad. So there you go.
Well, the Prophet Muhammad just put a chick in jail for 25 years.
For using Twitter, is that right?
For saying something mildly critical about the Saudi government in another country.
He's a crazy fucking guy, that Prophet Muhammad.
Look,
he's keeping bacon prices low for me, though, which I enjoy. So imagine if there was extra demand on that bacon, it'd be through the fucking roof. So thank you.
Yeah, run down the
look, sorry, the opening scene of the video clip, Tom, it's Flo Rida jumping out of a plane.
Oh, yes. Yeah, it is.
And it only gets hotter from there. What else can you tell me about it?
To run down the Flo Rida product placement video checklist, that the company that's sponsoring them to jump out of the plane, number one. Then we've got Nokia BlackBerry. Just BlackBerry. Nokia's version of a BlackBerry. BMW motorbikes, Grey Goose vodka, Dom Perignon, Twitter, the Dubai Tourist Board, and women's asses quite heavily promoted as well in the video. But yeah, I mean that's a pretty good list.
Yeah, look, looking at the music video, Tom, would you consider Flo Rida to be, quote, a wild one, end quote, as the sort of song implies? Because looking at the music video, I look at that, and to my mind, I'm thinking, a really wild, out of control person that has sort of no moral boundaries. They don't really care what they're doing. Doing massive amounts of drugs and alcohol. Picking fights with complete strangers, maybe throwing a Molotov cocktail through the window of a clothing store you have a minor grudge with, looting the premises, stealing a Maserati and driving it off a bridge into the ocean. These are sorts of things that a wild one might do. It's not quite the same as driving around in a Jeep with a woman going, I'm a wild one, is it? It's not the same thing.
Not really.
And that's what this video is effectively, just Flo Rida in a Jeep. Look at me, I'm a wild one.
That's right. I mean, there was a time in the early 70s where a man wearing a white mesh vest in public might have constituted the behaviour of a wild one. But by the by the early 2010s.
Flowrider loves mesh, doesn't he?
He
Fucking
does.
hell. That's probably the
Yeah.
Florida climate, though, I imagine.
Oh,
more
it's
than
just
anything.
white clothes out the wahoo. And
Yep.
I mean, even jumping out of a plane, it's hardly fucking Johnny Utah. They're all strapped to another person. They haven't bothered to get their skydiving ticket or anything.
No.
It's all just, and even the whole video doesn't even take place in Dubai. It's like they ran out of money halfway through and fucked off back to Florida. But
Yep.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've seen wilder things, sure. Robert
Yeah.
Downey Jr.'s non-Hollywood period was considerably wilder.
Exactly.
He
yeah.
could make a video for her, I'm sure. Fortunately, back then there were no such things as cell phones, so he still gets to have a career.
Yeah, exactly. What's that dude? Who? I don't know. Everyone's been cancelled.
Rob
these
Lowe,
days,
you
yeah, sorry. Yeah. What's the lyrics though? They must be fucking great.
look,
I imagine it's
lyrical
about how wild they
spotlight.
are.
Sure.
Yeah.
I am a wild one, break me in. Saddle me up and let's begin.
Okay.
I am a wild one, tame me now. Running with wolves and I'm on the prowl. Show you another side of me, a side you would never thought you would see. Excellent grammar, see. Tear up that body, dominate you till you've had enough. I hear you like the wild stuff.
Yeah.
Now, after last week with Rihanna and then Winter Gordon, it became very clear that the early 2010s was all about sadism and masochism fetishes entering mainstream pop music.
Yeah.
Flo and Sia are just riding that wave on leather surfboards with leg ropes attached to their nipple clamps and butt plugs installed beachside before every paddle out.
Yep.
I think either that or Flo Rida is a werewolf. That's possible interpretation of the lyrics. What do you think Flo Rida's favourite fetish situation is? Because I've heard he likes the wild stuff.
Yeah, look, I'm not sure about their history, but I can imagine Flo Rida would be all in if the offer came from Rihanna to anally penetrate him with one of her signature strap-on dildos. That's what I'm sort of thinking there. But you're right. There's there's been a few songs in the last few weeks that are clearly about some wild shit happening in the bedroom. So.
Every fetish gets its time in the sun
Yeah.
for a little while, even if only sort of tangential. And it seems like S&M is definitely either having its time to shine, or it's making a little comeback maybe from that sort of Madonna Vogue 90s period. But yeah, what was the Rihanna song about pegging? Mr. Big Cock or something? What was it called?
Rude Boy. Was
Rude
it Rude
Boy,
Boy?
yes.
Rude
Come
Boy,
over
can
here.
you get it up? Come
Yep.
on, Rude Boy, you're big enough. Take it. Can you take
That's
it? I
right.
believe so.
Sure.
Absolutely. Look, so anyway, that song, not one of Flo Rida's better ones,
No.
but this guy, I mean, he's a heat factory. There's no doubt about that. So
can't argue with it. It's like him and Pitbull are having the biggest white vest
Tom-
in Miami contest.
Tom, out of Flo Rida and Sia, who's got the most Spotify listeners? Tom, who do you think?
That's a tough one. Flo Rida was really huge for a while.
Yep.
But then Sia had a lot of critical love. Maybe Sia?
Flo Rida, Tom, 22 mil,
Wow, okay.
and Sia, 35 mil. So you were right.
Wow, fuck,
Shit, people
yeah.
fucking love that shit. This is going to cost you $4.26. Still what I would consider to be a poor investment, but better than paying whatever the fuck
Better
it was.
value than LMFAO,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
Exactly right. So look, that's that one. All right, Tom. So up next, 5th of March, 1 week. It's Ass Back Home, Gym Class Heroes featuring Neon Hitch.
Yeah, this was my annual song that I completely forgot. If I've ever heard of it, I don't.
I
think
doubt I've
this
heard
at
this
all.
in my life because I,
Yeah.
like you, was just like, what the fuck is this?
I certainly never heard of Gym Class Heroes or Neon Hitch.
No.
If they did anything since then, I've never heard it.
No, exactly. So what can you tell me? What can you tell me about this?
Well, this was the second single from the 5th album by Gym Class Heroes.
Okay.
So in the song was essentially, Ass Back Home refers to his partner trying to get him back home, saying, when are you coming home? You've been touring too long. So when he's talking about that, it's not a brag, because just because I haven't heard of them doesn't mean they don't have a lot of fans, especially among the US college audiences where they started out. They're called Gym Class Heroes because, they met in gym class, supposedly. That said, comparison-wise, the song is perfectly timed. This is the sort of shit that reminds you of the skills Flo Rida and Dr. Luke do have, because this is the B-tier knockoff of their recent type of shit. in that it's sort of hip hop combined with kind of lazy electro stuff with a chorus from a ringing female vocalist. And once again, this is not fit to sit on the shelf next to the average 1993 Eurodance single. Give me Melody MC over this any day of the week. Never mind Flo Rida or Dr. Luke. To tell you the truth, I don't mind Travie McCoy's raps and delivery, but the dance music part of the song, which is most of it, sucks ass, and Neon Hitch is no-seer, even, in lyric writing terms.
Oh, look, to me this sounds like an off-brand Black Eyed Peas with like a poor man's Kesha thrown into the mix for the chorus.
Yeah.
Now, I couldn't tell you a lot about Gym Class Heroes, Tom, but I could tell you even less about Neon Hitch. I was like, who in the living fuck is that?
Yes.
Now, she's on this... all I can tell you about her is that, she's on this song. Neon Hitch was apparently Amy Winehouse's roommate.
Okay.
I was able to find that out from the internet, and her debut single was called Fuck You Better, which was a song about how she broke up with a dude and he started dating a model. And Neon Hitch, not her real name, it's Neon O'Grady, I believe. It's not, I don't know what the fuck.
I saw it coming and I still laughed.
O'Grady, it's a fucking weird one, isn't it? Anyway, so Neon Hitch, so basically said to the boyfriend, he'd broken up with her.
Yep.
He's dating a model now, sorry, and she, he's like, oh look, I'm dating this model now, and she said to him, she may be prettier than I'll ever be, but she can't fuck like I do. So props to Neon Hitch for that. So apparently she fucks well. I don't know, Flo Rida might want to hit on that action. Maybe even Rihanna might want to get in on some of that.
Or
so
maybe she sounds a bit like one of Eamon's ex-girlfriends.
Exactly.
Fuck you, don't want you
so,
back, etc.
Neon Hitch story.
Slagging match.
Yeah, exactly. She has a number one hit song as a feature. Amy Winehouse's roommate, and she fucks really well.
Oh, okay. So that was a number one. I think I've heard "Fuck You Better."
No, that wasn't a number one. This is a number one.
Oh,
this is her only number one featuring on this. So yeah.
I think I've heard "Fuck You Better" because I remember that stupid title, but I had no idea who it was by or anything.
No. She. I think for me, off-brand Kesha's sort of my perfect descriptor.
Yeah. She's no fucking Amy Winehouse. That's for sure.
That's completely true.
Look, I watched a little interview clip about this song where Travie McCoy, the vocalist...
Sorry, Tom, I'll just stop you there. Is Travie McCoy in relation to Paul McCoy from Can't Wake Up? No,
nor is he in relation to Travis McCoy.
Yeah, all the real McCoy.
All the real McCoy.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. Damn.
No, it was Travis Barker. Sorry, Travis.
Okay.
Yeah. So Travie...
Anyway,
I don't know why it's not... maybe his real name is Travis McCoy.
Oh,
anyway.
fuck, who knows?
Anyway, he talks quite smartly about the basic idea of the song, but also about the more specific and a bit less cliched sort of adjacent subject of how an artist, if they really do want to follow their dream, regardless of which creative field they're in, having to say at some point to a prospective partner, look, it sucks, but you can't always ask me to put you above my art. No matter what our relationship is, if I'm going to do this properly, sometimes I'm going to have to put this stuff above you, whether it's touring or time spent apart or time spent doing something else. He wrote another song about that called Coming Clean, e.g. explaining this to a partner, and that is definitely a more interesting song than this one, even if it does sound like he's been listening to quite a lot of Eminem recently. I think his sort of Eminem mode is more listenable than this kind of attempt. I haven't listened to enough of their stuff to know whether this might just be a one-off. They might have just thought, hey, we can do this Flo Rida shit as well. We'll just get a female vocalist.
I mean, it's hard to know whether this is representative of their greater body of work or not. But look, the thing with Travie is, at least when he's sort of saying to the prospective partner, look, I'm going to choose my art over you, or I can't, or I can't always put you ahead of my art. At least at the end of that, he can point to this song and say to the partner, look, I've got this with an off-brand Kesha, and she's like, and the girlfriend will be like, oh, okay, I'm glad that you, which is okay, but for me, it was hard to, for my wife to say, I'm choosing my art above you, and she's like, what have you got? And then I play a pumped up Cox, and she's like, that's fucking garbage.
It's like, I'm touring with Bonus Storm. By touring, exactly. I mean, I'm going to be spending a lot of time at a pub.
Yeah, so I'm sure Do you think the ex-partner feels good about the fact that she was ditched for this? Is that like...
Yeah, well, I think, frankly, the ex-partner might be onto something because this motherfucker needs to take his own advice and go home.
Yeah.
I'm telling you what, that interview takes place on a tour bus, a moving tour bus, and Travie looks like he's been smoking weed and eating Cheetos on that bus for at least 18 months. He's got eyes that would make any goth go, Jesus, I need to dial it back a bit with this makeup. You know? Yeah. He looks like fucking Danny from Withnell and I.
If only Will.i.am's loved one had said, I think you need to choose me ahead of the art sometimes, you might have a few less shit songs. But
I mean, granted, to be honest, there are some kinds of art that ask more physically from an artist than other ones, like doing endless low-paid college tours around America asks a lot more of you physically than, say, being Radiohead, where you can make, $500 million doing 10 dates a year, or Tool, where you can charge $200 a ticket or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I guess you're right. It gets to the point where if you're playing to 500 people at $20 a head versus I'm paying to 20,000 people for $200 a head, then just by sheer economics, you can play significantly less shows every year. But look, this was Gym Class Heroes' biggest hit in Australia. They had a few other top 10 hits here and abroad.
Oh, they did?
But they did that thing, Tom, where, as you mentioned, they were 5 albums deep, I think you said.
Yep, at this point.
Yeah, they did that thing where they've, 5 years of no one really knowing, me not knowing who they are. Maybe they had a big underground following, college tours and stuff. So they get their big hits, and then after that they're just like, oh yeah, we're done. So they I think they split up pretty soon after this. So I'm not sure whether the individual members went on to do their own thing. I couldn't be bothered looking that up. But certainly, they hit big and then disbanded. So or went on permanent hiatus. I don't know.
Well, hey, maybe they just needed to fucking go the fuck home.
Look,
it might have been that.
Maybe Red Foo, when they do that reunion, they'll tap these guys on the shoulder and say, Gym Class Heroes, come out with us. Is Neon fucking, whatever her name was, is Neon Hitch available? Oh, she's about. Don't worry. She's just been sitting next to the phone for 8 years waiting for the call. So.
Sometimes I suspect that these bands that have a huge college audience simply just keep thinking that they can party with 19-year-olds for way too long. You can't party with 19-year-olds. 19-year-olds have got no class, and they will throw up on your shoes after drinking half a bottle of Black Sambuca. But they have a level of fucking persistence and energy that no 30-year-old can hope to identify. You can't smoke bongs with 19-year-olds every night. It's just it's not going to happen.
Well, that's the thing, I guess. If you're playing a sort of very college rock or whatever sort of style of music, eventually you're going to have to try and grow a bit, because otherwise, you're right.
Yeah.
When you're 35 and you're playing to 16-year-olds, it's sort of probably a bit weird. So
either that or you have to do that boring thing where you stop taking drugs.
Yeah, that's true.
You have to finally admit that your dream does not involve getting fucked up every night, even though you always thought that was the funnest part of it secretly when you first came up with the dream.
Yeah, you can always start a straight edge hardcore band when you're 45, I guess, and just sort of do that. But
I like that line. I love that line in do you remember in Almost Famous, there's that bit where they argue about the T-shirt? They're all pissed off at each other because they're annoyed at the guitarist for getting too much attention because he's considered to be the handsome, talented one. And then the guy brings in their new T-shirts and he's at the front of on the shirt, and everyone else is just kind of out of focus. And then they have this big argument and stuff. And then one of them says, you're not supposed to be the lead singer. That's not your responsibility. And he says, didn't we all get into this to avoid responsibility? It's just a pretty good line for a rock band. Anyway, lyrically speaking, this was written by David Silverstein, Robopop.
Let me stop you there. That's a fucking great
It's a great
pseudonym
name
as a songwriter, Robopop.
It's probably my favourite Paul Verhoeven inspired music producer after DJ Starship Troopers.
It's way better than other dudes. It's just like going, let's call ourselves the Matrix. That's fucking stupid.
That's right. At least he changed one letter.
Yep.
Yeah. So Robopop, Emma Malik, Benny Blanco, Matt McGinley, Eric Roberts, Disashi, and Travie McCoy. I think half of those people are just the band.
Yep.
Anyway, Robopop worked with Maroon 5, 30 Seconds to Mars, Owl City, and the poorly named singer Keith Urban. Much like Alex da Kid and Stargate, if anything, I'd say his name is too interesting for the level of production excitement he actually delivers.
Yeah.
It seems to be a weird... Same as The Matrix, there seems to be this kind of oppositional ratio between the more exciting the producer's name is, the less exciting their
If your name's
work
Gary
is.
Smith, you're writing the best shit on the planet.
Yeah,
but if
exactly.
you're fucking Alex da Kid, then you're just writing garbage.
Yeah, and in the middle you've got Timberland. He's like, well, he's named after some shoes, and yeah, he's all right, sort of on the... Yeah. Anyway.
But it's funny, though. You look at those references, you've got Alex da Kid, which is like a Sega Master System
Yep.
fucking reference. You got Stargate, which is obviously the second best TV show that Richard Dean Anderson was in, and then The Matrix, which is a pure knockoff. So I don't know.
There was that other one. I can't remember what they're called. They sound like a fucking DJ ZX Spectrum programmer or something. There
was another couple that were terrible production.
Yeah, they were all just three Swedish guys anyway.
Oh, exactly. What are these hot lyrics, though?
And you've been nothing but amazing, and I'll never take you for granted. Half of these birds would have flew the coop, but you truly understand it. And the fact you stood beside me every time you heard some bogusness, you deserve a standing O because they'd have just been over it. It's basically a hip-hop dance version of your old school "Thanks for not breaking up with me because I'm on tour all the time" song, which reminded me of Eminem again, which was not great because Eminem already wrote a whole bunch of better songs about that exact thing the last decade. As I said before, I suspect this guy was pretty influenced by Eminem. Given the age that they started out, I'm thinking that they were probably listening to his first albums when they were his age, because he started out pretty young too, or at school or whatever. But yeah, maybe when they were in gym class, yeah. Anyway.
So look, you're in the gym class heroes, Tom, let's imagine for a second. You can do it. You can do a US tour, yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you know which part of the USA they're from? Not sure?
No.
Doesn't really matter. Who cares? But you can tour around the whole... I think with America, you could legitimately say, I'm doing a nationwide tour. I'm going to be gone for like 6 months, yeah?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot... America's fucking big, and there's a lot of big cities where you can sort of do that. So, you can play all the big cities, obviously, but if you're saying, look, we're going to play anywhere where there's a couple of 100,000 people, in America, you could be gone for literally 6 months. So maybe...
Oh, absolutely.
So saying to the girlfriend... I'm going to be gone for 6 months. I'm touring around. In Australia, if you're doing a nationwide tour, how long, Tom, can you legitimately say to the girlfriend, I'm doing a nationwide tour, I'll see you in a week? 2 weeks maybe?
Oh, but I mean, if you're not famous overseas and you want to earn money in Australia and when you're not on the charts, then you better be on a permanent nationwide tour.
True.
I think Grinspoon is still touring off Dead Cat 3 times right now.
Yeah, I hope so.
No wonder he got a meth addiction just to keep himself awake in the Tarago, I think.
I think so, yeah. If you're only taking in major cities, correct, you've only got about 5 to choose from in Australia. But yeah, if you're going for anywhere with 100,000 people, you're probably going to stay on that tour for a while. So.
By the way, so he's Travie McCoy is 41 now, which means he was 31 then.
Yeah.
And if this is their 5th album, that means they've probably been touring since he was 20.
Yep.
So, that's, I think his girlfriend was, giving him good advice there, telling him to fucking go home.
Absolutely. Look, Gym Class Heroes today in 2022, despite breaking up not long after this song, I believe, or at least going on hiatus, they've still got 11 million listeners.
Yeah.
Neon Hitch has 100,000, which doesn't surprise me. Probably all for this song, which is on some playlist. This will cost you 72 cents, so that's sort of back in the territory that we're used to. There you go.
Okay.
So that's a bargain if you want. Pick that up for 72 cents. Don't pay $1 for it at an op shop. You can go online and collect it for a lot less.
Cool. What's up next?
Tom, 12th of March for 3 weeks, We Are Young Fun, featuring Janelle Monáe.
What is the Fun story, Ben? Or, sorry, Fun full stop. What's their story?
Oh, who gives a fuck? Yeah, to be honest.
Look, I don't know about you, but when I hear the words "We Are Young," my first thought is heartache to heartache we stand, no promises, no demands. And that's not good for this song because Love is a Battlefield is the apex of 80s pre-ironic OTT love metaphor power ballads, was a number one in Australia and the US, and is a lot more memorable than this song. Even though probably there are quite a lot of Gen Y and Z who haven't heard it. Exactly 0 people will be discussing We Are Young by Fun, full stop, in 40 years' time on a podcast. My question is, what will Gen Z be doing in 40 years instead of listening to podcasts, do you think? My guess is enjoying 3D virtual podcasts using the technology from the film The Lawnmower Man 2: Job's War / Beyond Cyberspace.
Yep.
Either way, it will not involve any songs by Fun, full stop, featuring Janelle Monáe, I don't think.
I'd forgotten about this, and it'd been 10 years. And
I remembered it when I'd heard
about it
but
for 8 years. So I dare say that in 40 years' time, people won't be talking about this in a podcast. But look...
At first I was confused with Forever Young. Then I was like, oh, hang on, We Are Young. Wasn't that... No,
we'd already done Forever
song.
Young on another podcast. So, look, Tom, to answer your question, though, in 40 years' time, it's a good question as to what people will be doing. But when you look at... I think any sort of creativity, like sort of outlet for creativity, you just want the very best people in charge, don't you? You want creative minds thinking about how we can harness the technology that we have and how that we can create new things. And what I mean is that obviously there was a long period of time where, cinema was the best thing that we had. So we had all of, people that, directors and writers and music.
Sure, it's the art form of the 20th century.
It was where you could, you're the director, you say, I'm going to get, some great musicians, I'm going to get great actors, great writers, I'm going to put all that together. And then when video games came along, Tom, obviously that gave another creative outlet.
Could be the art form of the 21st
Exactly,
century,
and you want the very best people
Yes.
working behind that and saying, hey, let's try and get the best creative minds to create something in that world. So I think in the future, Tom, we're going to have another thing, obviously the metaverse. Unfortunately, we've got one of the best creative minds of probably of all time working on that by Mark Zuckerberg.
Yes,
so I think that, with his creative vision, in charge of the metaverse in 40 years' time, we're going to be sitting around. It's going to be like MS Messenger, but you're going to be inside MSN Messenger. It's going to be like that. So it's going to be so great.
Permanently locked in a virtual world with everyone who currently has a Twitch stream on the internet.
Oh, it's going to be.
I can't think of
a
better end result than being trapped inside a computer with PewDiePie for the rest of my life. Particularly, we're both wearing weird, uncanny valley avatars that look like sort of deformed Mark Zuckerberg heads. Hopefully, we can only cross our fingers for the future.
Instead of sitting on a couch, you're going to put on your VR headset. And you're going to be sitting on a virtual couch.
Sure.
Just, and you're going to be sitting in there, and it's going to be so great. And that's because we've got visionary Mark Zuckerberg working on that.
So mental. It truly is mental, isn't it? Like, I remember when Facebook acquired the Oculus hardware about 15 years ago, I think, when it first came out.
Ages ago.
And I mean, VR's not even a new idea. VR is like 15 years old by that point already. It's just that the technology didn't exist. And then when they acquired this, I was wondering for ages, as people struggle to make, to effectively use VR technology even for video games, which is ostensibly what it's designed for, and then thinking, well, maybe VR isn't best suited for video games. Maybe the best application for VR is some other thing that we haven't even figured out yet. We're going to need some Steve Jobs-like figure to truly harness this technology in a way that simply means that all the people who currently have qualms about the idea of virtual reality will just have to go out and buy it, the way the Wii got people to play video games who never played video games before in their life, And then thinking, well, maybe Mark Zuckerberg, behind the scenes, he's figured out something, and he's the visionary guy who invented Facebook. He's got some way of using this technology, and then it turns out he does. And when he finally releases it, what is it? It's called fucking Second Life. It's a chat room that came out in 1995, except you wear a helmet to do it.
Yeah, the dude sucks. He's always sucked. He's only ever had one good idea, and he stole that from someone anyway. So the fact that this dude is in charge of the metaverse, fucking hell. But look, what I can say, Tom, is that if Mark Zuckerberg, I know he's a fan of the podcast, if he's listening to this, look, no offense, Mark, but look, what we've just said, it's all in jest because, we don't want to get banned from fucking, Instagram or whatever the fuck. But look, if someone is able to allow me to say, Tom, I need a new couch, and I can put on some VR headset and then I can see the couches that IKEA have or whatever the fuck, and I can look at that and see it at the wall and go, that looks okay. And then I can order it. It comes to my house without having to physically go to the IKEA and walk around that thing. That's going to be amazing, except for the part where I have to sit on it and go, oh, it's uncomfortable as a motherfucker. Yes. Now I've got to send it back. So I think there's a few problems that
You'd think he would have learned a lesson from Elon Musk, wouldn't you?
Yep.
Because they're contemporaries at this point.
Yep.
You'd think he would have learned, at least the basic lesson is, if you've got a dumb shit idea that people have already done 100 times, and all you can do is struggle to try and make it again and hope that the sheer tidal force of the amount of money you've got behind you is going to push it over the line, then don't, before it's been released, show how crap it is.
Yeah.
Just make shit up. Just lie. Just promise it's going to be the best thing in the world. You can do that for 20 years while building up investor income.
Oh, exactly.
People will just keep giving you money indefinitely. Just, what is it? Thanatos style or whatever that fucking blood. Like, don't show us. Don't go on TV and show how crappy it looks and then reveal how dumb it is. Do you think Elon Musk would have gotten all that Hyperloop money if he'd shown pictures of one car slowly trundling down a tunnel from downtown Las Vegas to Las Vegas Central?
Oh, exactly.
No, he had to say he was going to make 500-kilometre-an-hour space trains flying around the world at supersonic speeds. Just lie, just make shit up. No,
in Minority Report where Tom Cruise is like just does all the, he doesn't have a screen, he just looks at the wall and the screen's projected on there and he's like swiping shit off and doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to see that in my lifetime.
No.
Because
Exactly.
the people that are working on this shit are just
This is what I'm trying to talk about, like the supermarket thing, for instance. You can just tell people, you'll be able to see a sofa in your lounge room and touch it and feel it and smell it, virtually, and then you'll be able to see exactly how it'll look and sit down on it and stuff. None of that stuff's coming true in our lifetime either.
No.
But you can just say that, and then when you reveal the shitty Nintendo Wii version that you've actually made, then you can just say, oh, look, that's coming in later updates. We'll... This is just the early version. And then, that's Elon Musk's entire life. I think he's going to die before some of those Teslas come out, before the Cybertruck rolls off the production line.
Exactly.
But that's okay. You just do one shitty model and then, But because the thing he's trying to sell is will come true at some point. There will be a sort of equivalent. Whether people actually want to use it or whether it's enticing to people is another thing. But the version he's got now, the technology clearly still isn't at that level yet.
Oh, no doubt.
No. They still haven't figured out how to make virtual reality not make people want to spew. Step one, conquering the nausea factor.
Putting that headset on for more than 15 minutes.
Yes, a headset that weighs under 2 kilos would be number 2.
Yep.
A headset that doesn't have wires connecting it to... Anyway, look, let's not get into virtual reality.
I remember when I was not that old, a teenager, and they brought out the Nintendo Virtual Boy, Tom. You remember that one?
Absolutely.
This was
a hot 2 months.
The Nintendo Virtual Boy, for those that may not be familiar with it, people might only be familiar with the successful things that Nintendo have done, i.e. the Super Nintendo or Nintendo 64, GameCube, etc., whatever they've got now. The Switch, the
Virtual Boy was made by the guy who made the Game Boy, which at the time, in fact, it may even still, for a time it held the record for most video game things ever sold.
The Game Boy,
yes. So people were, clearly, as the Virtual Boy demonstrates, he was given pretty much a blank check to do whatever the fuck he wanted.
Yeah, exactly. That was one of those things that had a lot of hype, and I don't think anyone could wear it for more than about 15 minutes before just having to take it off and say, I'm not going to use that ever again. Yes. So that was the problem. Also, the technology wasn't there, but, anyway.
Yeah, it was sort of like a virtual reality ahead of its time video gaming multiplayer interactive 3D solution with the sort of visual fidelity of staring into a magic 8-ball really close with one eyeball pressed up against it for hours at a time, and that magic 8-ball is super glued to a table so you can't move it around in case your neck's getting stiff.
Exactly.
Yeah, it had a similar range of software as well, if I recall correctly. But
so anyway, we digress from fun, Tom. What else can you tell me about this song?
Well, this song proposes an interesting question.
Yep.
What's the minimum level of work you can put in and still get a featuring credit on a song, do you think? Because as far as I can tell, Janelle Monáe sings exactly 12 words in this entire song, or rather 4 words, "Carry Me Home Tonight," 3 times.
It's a good question, Tom, because she does sweet fuck all on this.
Yes.
I didn't even know that there was a featured artist on this until I looked back at the thing and it said featuring the person. I was like, where the fuck does it even come in? So the band advised, Tom, that they wanted Rihanna on this, and they said that this is a true story. So they said, we want Rihanna on this. Apparently she was into the track, but, quote, Tom, wires got crossed. Yeah, that old story. You know, whenever you hear wires got crossed, what that means is we sent her the song and she fucking didn't get back to us. Do you really think Rihanna would want in on this? I mean, Jesus Christ. So apparently the beat for this song, and I use beat in inverted commas, according to the band as well, when this was written, the beat almost ended up on the Kanye, Jay-Z Watch the Throne album. But
maybe some wires.
I think the wires got crossed, Tom. Yeah, apparently. So that was purported. So when I was reading about this song, they said, Rihanna was going to do it, but some wires got crossed, and then the actual backing track almost ended up on that Jay-Z Kanye album, but the wires. So look, this is also classified as the first rock song to reach the top of the Billboard chart since Nickelback's "This Is How You Remind Me."
Jesus Christ.
So firstly, they're using a pretty fucking loose definition of rock song, as this is deemed a rock song. I mean, holy shit. And secondly, that's the first one in over a decade, and the previous one was Nickelback, so it's a sad state of affairs.
This is about as rock as Pumped Up Kicks, frankly.
I know.
In the sense that somewhere on them are some instruments, kind of.
I mean, there's a guitar in it, maybe, but even, so that's, so that was the weird thing that Billboard said, rock.
God,
I've got a rock song.
Pretty depressing.
To
This is How You Remind Me was 2001.
Yeah,
that's
so
11 years prior.
Exactly.
Christ almighty.
Yeah. So look, speaking of Zuckerberg, this was the most listened to song on Facebook in 2012. Now, I'm not exactly sure what that means. Did Facebook have a music player at some stage that I've just completely forgotten about?
Honestly, I didn't know. I mean,
or do they mean just this is the links? You can put a link
like
on
embedded links.
So either embedded links or just I've just put on my wall. Oh, check this out, and I put a link.
Maybe
to it. So
they tried to have a music player for a bit.
I'm not sure, but I think what it means.
Not a good advertisement.
I think it's just links, mate. It must just be links because I literally can't remember Facebook doing it. Because MySpace had that embedded music player, but I don't know. Anyway, so look, if that's the case,
for instance, I think the white nationalist group Stormfront had the most watched video on Facebook, but I'm not sure if I'd be using that to publicise the video capabilities of Stormfront or Facebook.
No. Remember that Billy Joel Stormfront tour? That was a good one, wasn't it? Thanks, Billy. But yeah, look, the popularity of this song, though, Tom, what I will say is that it grew quite organically. So
sure.
This is one of those songs where it wasn't, one of those sort of things where they were a big, well-known band. When you asked about the Fun story before, and I said, "Who gives a fuck?" Look, I couldn't give a shit. But what I can say is that this is their first sort of release. They weren't a band that were around forever.
No.
They sort of 3 dudes that were in previous other shitty bands, I assume, got together and formed Fun, and this was like one of the first songs they wrote and they released this. So, the success of this song did grow organically, and the sales in the song sort of spiked after a while, and it grew organically through being featured in a Chevy Super Bowl commercial. That was that. So that got picked up, they played that, and then it sort of went from there. So,
yeah, they don't look like your manufactured
No.
Even for a band that is actually singing and playing instruments, they do look kind of organic, like they look.
Yeah, I think it was just dudes that were like, "Oh, I'm in a band, and you're in a band, and what happened? My band broke up. Oh, do you want to do something?"
Commercial,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, look, Lyrically, in an interview on Rolling Stone, the writer and singer of the song, Nate Ruess, said that the song was inspired by my worst drinking night of all time. Quote, the cabbie was demanding all this money and all I could do was stand on the corner with my head against the wall. It took me another day before I was a functioning adult and could actually write down the verses. Now, Nate is an American, so I'm assuming that this occurred after the first time he drank 2 cans of low-carb beer and was immediately followed by a trip to hospital, then rehab, and then a publicity tour, then a lifelong forswearance of all alcoholic beverages, low-carb or otherwise.
Yep.
My lover, she's waiting for me just across the bar. My seat's been taken by some sunglasses asking about a scar, and I know I gave it to you months ago. I know you're trying to forget it. But between the drinks and subtle things, the holes in my apologies, you know I'm trying hard to take it back. So if by the time the bar closes and you feel like falling down, I'll carry you home tonight. Now, that sounds a bit suspicious to me.
Yeah.
Sounds like the last person you should be letting carry you home is this dildo. He's going to drop you onto a broken bottle and give you a scar so bad that strangers are asking about it in public. Maybe a couple of black eyes as well. Who knows what happens once you get home. Look, being young is no excuse for criminal negligence or domestic violence, Nate. If you need
agreed.
someone to get you home, I'd ask that guy from the Cars. I reckon he seemed extremely concerned about getting you home. It's also a much, much better song than this.
Oh, significantly better song than this. Look, what do you think of the punctuation at the end of Fun? Does that add to the quality of the band, detract from the quality of the band, or does it really matter?
I guess it's kind of. I suppose it's something, you know. It's not super annoying. It's a little bit pretentious, but it's, you know, no more pretentious than your average boy band, I guess, sticking weird punctuation.
Does it make it hard to Google the band?
I imagine it would.
Yeah, the ultimate downfall for them. Just Google Fun and see what pops up.
I suppose it's designed to offset the fun, you know. If it was called Fun ! That would be trying too hard,
exactly.
You know. Yeah.
Definitely. So look, Fun have got 8 mil listeners. People must still be listening to this for some fucking reason. 2 mil for Janelle. $6.52. This will cost you. That's way too much.
Yeah.
Anything else to say about that?
No. What's up next?
2nd of April for 5 weeks. One of my personal favourites, Tom. Carly Rae Jepsen, Call Me Maybe.
Yeah. 5 weeks. This was a big hit at the time.
Look, this is a banger. I'm not sure if you want to, look at my funeral, Tom. This or Hammer Smash Face by Cannibal Corpse. I'm not sure just yet, but I'll keep you posted.
Joel Turner beatboxing.
Yeah,
as previously discussed.
Yeah.
Modern day poets on backup.
Joel Turner or Carly Rae Jepsen. Probably both in a sort of a back to back. I'd say
he can beatbox through this.
Carly Rae, she placed 3rd in Canadian Idol, so usually we shit on these people, but look, it's points off for that.
I'll save her from the Axel alarm because I genuinely didn't know that. She's actually
but points back on for this song. Now, her first album was some folk bullshit that no one cares about, but then she obviously realised that, pop bangers sell.
Yeah.
And this is way more fun in a live setting than fucking some dickhead on a stool strumming an acoustic guitar singing about dream catchers or some bullshit. So she knows what's up. Is this Billy Ray Cyrus's daughter or not? I don't think it is.
Think so.
No.
I think that's Miley Ray Jepsen or Phone Fingery Ray Jepsen.
Yeah, for sure.
Look. Yeah, she seems to have managed that difficult to pull off, some might say, organic trick of someone who had a background transitioning to pop music from a different song type, while still maintaining some of a hint of the credibility of the original, like getting taken slightly more seriously than your average completely manufactured pop star.
Yeah,
like Pink or someone like that. But and I think it's also to do with the fact that Taylor Swift style, I'm pretty sure she writes her own stuff too, unlike most.
I think she definitely co-wrote this, I believe. So
yeah. I do quite like this too, I've got to admit. Even if you hate this song, you have to admit that it does have that catchiness factor.
It's catchy as fuck.
It's incredibly catchy.
Holy shit.
It's the kind of song where the chorus gets stuck in your head after you've heard half of it one time, and then you don't even know who it's by, and you walk around with the fucking chorus in your head.
Tom, if I think we mentioned this before, but if I'm at the checkout at Coles and this comes on Coles radio, I'm fake pretending I didn't get any eggs, and I'm ducking back in the supermarket for 3 to 5 minutes till I can hear the whole song. Then I'm going back to the checkout. I don't want to worry,
Ben, but you do seem to spend a huge amount of your life at Coles buying eggs.
I'm there the whole time.
Or rather, forgetting. Maybe you should write down eggs on your hand when you go into Coles.
Yeah, I should stop going to Coles because they've got that...
Either that or they should be selling eggs at the checkout. Yeah. Certainly, they're missing a trick.
They've got that black bean chili oil that, means I put on 5 kilos in COVID.
Grandma, fucking
eating
hell.
That shit. Fucking hell, it's like crack. But,
it sure is.
Anyway, sorry, so what about the video?
Look, the video is kind of fun. On the one hand, it's a sort of artificially quirky indie pop thing set in that same suburb where every teen film since American Pie takes place. That sort of typical suburb where 25-year-old supermodel hot high schoolers have nothing to do on a Sunday except wash their 80 grand Cherry Classic hot rods in the driveway and check each other out while acting with a grade 9 level of emotional intelligence, like, trying to get someone's attention by washing your car in a sexy way, then falling over in a pile of soap suds. So that's fun. On the downside, they also do that Pink Avril Lavigne thing where a band try and visually rock up a song which is clearly 80% electro production and audibly does not feature most of the instruments or notes being played in the video.
Oh, there are no drums on this at all, and the music video, would imply there's a dude on the drum kit.
Very badly
and probably no
done
guitar at all. Like
it's badly done to the extent in this one that I was starting to wonder if that's really her band. I assume that it is, because she probably does have an actual band, because, she's
maybe
not
they
Pink.
play it in a live setting, play it live, but there's no real instruments.
Yeah, or they just play on other songs, but they're really struggling. They actually look vaguely embarrassed at even trying to do it.
Yeah.
The punchline at the end, anyway, after she's been, trying to get the attention of her hot next-door neighbour, while he washes his, his car. The punchline at the end, spoilers, is that the 26-year-old Calvin Klein model that she's trying to mac on finally notices her, walks up and gives his phone number to the guitarist in the band instead, and he's a guy.
Holy shit, now.
Oh, listen, bada boom.
Absolutely. Look, it's sort of funny, look at that and go, oh, wow, that's like a big, that's some sort of crazy prank, something that's different. But, the first gay reveal was at the end of the Olivia Newton-John song, Physical, in 1981. So they pulled that out.
I forgot that. Just when I thought that video couldn't get any gayer than it already is.
40 years ago, yeah. And while we're at it, R.I.P. ONJ, pour one out. She passed away very recently.
She finally stopped getting physical.
She did.
Became ethereal.
She did, yeah. An Australian icon. So, yeah, but anyway, so Olivia Newton-John did that 40 years ago. Now, look, the video clip, yeah, I agree. It's pretty fun. It matches the funness of this song, which I do enjoy. However, the chest tattoo on the model from shoulder to shoulder that reads "The sky's the limit."
Oh God, I didn't notice
in cursive
that.
font.
Oh, man,
really only a taster of how bad tattoos would get. And it looks like that down the side of his torso, he either has a full Bible verse or the lyrics to perhaps "This Is How You Remind Me" by Nickelback. I'm not sure. Didn't get it. I tried to freeze frame it and read it, but I couldn't tell.
The sky's the limit, really? Wow.
But the sky's the limit. So
I bet you
pretty
it's punctuated
fucking bad. But look, he did avoid the face tattoo, and I feel like if this video clip was made in 2022, the edgy dude would have like some sort of face tattoo.
He'd have like a neck, or he'd have like a little Post Malone teardrop or something like that.
Exactly right. But the sky's the limit. That's about as bad as it gets.
Just to get a bit Luke Heggie here, what the fuck is it with bogans and these people who've been avoiding the written word their entire life since, grade 4 when they left school, and in the form of every book or piece of written literature since, and then suddenly you get them into a tattoo shop and they cannot wait to get some fucking choice words from the English language permanently inscribed on themselves, regardless of spelling, where they came from, what they mean.
Oh, exactly.
How big they are.
I saw a dude today with his postcode tattooed on the arm, which I wasn't sure which was sick or fucking stupid, but you know, I was all for it.
Depends how cool the place is, I guess. If it's Bernie,
it was 3-9 something, so not like I don't know where the fuck.
I was once at a bar where a young and quite heavily tattooed young lady, about that same age as Carly Rae Jepsen's bisexual love interest here, came back to the bar with a brand new tattoo that she'd recently gotten, which was across the top of the chest in the above can area where the guy had that, and it was "Don't lose hope." Yeah, written across there. Except the guy had written "Don't loose hope," and
that's equally as
which sounds like I'm making it up, but that was a real thing. And she was going like, "Is it like good bad or is it bad bad?" It was sort of like,
Don't lose hope's bad, but don't lose hope spelt wrong is particularly
I didn't
bad.
want to say that, like, what the fuck are you getting that for in the first place? That's moronic. But, yeah, anyway. Yeah.
I'm sure you can get it touched up, much like Travis Barker's blessed face tattoo.
As you'd expect, the guy, tattoo artist, said, "I'll pay, you can get the whole thing lasered off if you want." You know, they must have insurance for that thing. But, fucking hell, don't lose hope. I mean, Jesus.
Fortunately, though, Tom, Michael Bay wasn't directing this music video as we've seen him do in the past. Otherwise, Carly Rae probably would have been hosed off in that car wash sequence.
She would have been completely naked. Yeah, but yeah. Look, 2012 was a special time, Ben. I mean, it was late enough that this seemed a little bit hacky, but kind of, you know, like a sort of slightly, like, gay marriage still wasn't legal then, you know, in most of the Western world. So, you know, I guess you could say it's kind of vaguely progressive. 10 years later, and the scene would be mundane enough not to really work as a joke or even possibly be considered offensive via some tortured logic I don't give a fuck about. But 10 years earlier, and it would have been played not as a sort of amusingly awkward scene, but as something the audience would be kind of grossed out by, you know, the fact that he's into a gay dude. And 10 years before that, they wouldn't even show it on TV, and if you were Tasmanian, you could get arrested for acting it out in public. So, you know, I'm not sure whether that means it counts as progressive or not, but I do remember watching it at the time, and I think possibly because of that kind of high-gloss American Pie visual style, at the end going, I actually wasn't expecting that.
I think that I wasn't. You know, it was.
I didn't fall off my chair with a, you know, smoke cloud coming off my feet, cartoon style. But
no, it was it an M. Night Shyamalan level twist at the end, Tom?
I'd say it's a late period M. Night Shyamalan level twist,
like where the beach where everyone gets old or some shit.
Where you go, this is exactly as interesting as it would have been if there was no twist here.
Yeah, look, I think back then it was played as a twist. I think now you'd just play it as not a twist, but just disappointing for Carly Rae because the guy she was into is not into her. So
and the guy in the band just kind of looks, you know, like he doesn't know what to say. He doesn't kind of go and then run away, or he doesn't run off to the shower and hose himself down while desperately clawing his skin off the way Jim Carrey does in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective when he finds out he's made out with a trans person.
Well, that's true.
In a 10-minute long sequence that's lasted exactly as well as you'd hope.
Yeah, look, I think, but what we don't know, Tom, is whether the guitarist in the band, he may have been gay or bisexual himself. He may have just been not into a dude with the "sky's the limit" tattooed across his chest.
Sure.
So we don't know whether.
If you were going to make it now, you'd have to add something else on. Like you say, the guitarist would have to go off with the dude.
And then just be like, "I'm not into your "sky's the limit" tattoo."
Yeah, or something like that. There'd have to be another element, otherwise it wouldn't even qualify as, you know.
But you're right, Tom. Look, it was a special time. It was a special time before Carly Rae teamed up to duet with Our City. On a song called Good Time.
That's twice they've popped up this fucking year. I thought we'd seen the last of Owl City.
Yeah, so with the Owl City, Carly Rae Jepsen duet, it's fucking garbage, not that I need to see that. But the video of that song, Good Times, is them having a party at an old bait shop in the middle of nowhere. Looks like it's closed, but there's a fully functioning Slurpee machine there, so which really makes sense. And then Carly Rae and a bunch of friends, you know, they're just sort of hanging out. They go to that sort of bait shop, then they're camping out. It's a bit of a camping sort of thing. The music video is them all out in the sort of forest camping, and Carly Rae is sort of saying to her friends, "Oh, look, I've invited a friend to come along, and the friend's like, oh, yeah, that's cool. So, but can you imagine going on a camping trip and you're just chilling out, having a bit of fun, and then all of a sudden Our City shows up? You just be like, fuck that. The only positive is that as an electronic musician, he's not showing up with an acoustic guitar, annoying the living fuck out of everyone. We're going, I'm a musician, here's a song for you. You can't do... fucking anything with a MIDI keyboard out in the forest, can you? So, which is fortunate. So, look...
Well, I can only hope that video wasn't directed by Michael Bay either, or that Slurpee machine would have ended all over someone's cans before the end of
Carly Rae's tits, yeah, look. I don't usually agree with Justin Bieber, Tom. You know that me and Bieber have, we're butt heads quite often.
Sure.
But Bieber did tweet this back in 2012. Call Me Maybe by Carly Rae Jepsen's possibly the catchiest song I've ever heard, LOL.
It is pretty fucking catchy, yeah.
So thanks, Bieber,
I'm not sure he's the number one authority on... Yeah, but he doesn't say best. No, I'll give him that. No, he's not making claims about,
Now, Tom, Ukrainian singer Azza, you're a big fan of her work, I believe. Yep. Or Azza, A-Z-A. Massive fan here. She filed a lawsuit in LA claiming that Carly Rae Jepsen stole her song, her Christmas song, Tom, Hunky Santa. Now,
for Call Me Maybe, or for her?
No, for this. She claims that Call Me Maybe is a rip-off of her song, Hunky Santa.
How do they compare, Ben?
If you get a chance to check it out, the video clip for Hunky Santa, please do so, because it's totally fucked. And also, tip to Azza. I'm going to give you this free advice, Azza, if you're listening. If you're going to accuse someone of ripping off your song, may I suggest actually listening to that song first, as these two songs couldn't be more fucking different. So I listened to them back to back, Tom, and then I sort of took a bit of pause.
Sure.
And then listened to Carly Rae Jepsen, bit of pause, listened to this other song again, stepped away for a bit, went about my day, came back in the evening, said, let's do a side-by-side again. They are so far apart, it's effectively like going, oh, wait a minute, did, 2 Unlimited rip off Kurt Cobain when they did No Limits?
Sure.
Is that just a reworking of Smells Like Teen Spirit? That's effectively how different they were, so I don't know. Look, anyway, in 2017, Billboard named this song the one with the greatest chorus of the century.
What?
To this part.
They said the 21st century.
Yep, 21st century, they said. This is the
17 years into the...
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. 17 years
it bold.
They went, this is the best chorus so far.
Sure.
And
maybe they hadn't heard Hunky Santa yet.
I don't think they had yet, but they said this is number one, competing with the couple that they referenced. They said this just beats out Dynamite by Teo Cruz.
What the fuck?
And Teenage Dream by Katy Perry.
What the fuck?
So that's what they said were the best three Billboard. So Billboard are on.
Not even
crack.
I Kissed a Girl or something.
No.
Oh my goodness.
They obviously hadn't heard Flaunt It, TV rock featuring Shawnee B.
That's true.
All those kids on disco biscuits or whatever the fuck he was talking about. Anyway, so yeah, I do enjoy this song though. What do you got for the lyrics, Tom?
I think it's better than that would even suggest, that level of stupidity. Lyrically, hey, I just met you and it might seem crazy, but I'm almost famous, so fuck me, baby. Oh, damn, sorry. Sorry, those lyrics are actually from Fuck Me Baby by Huey Mack. Sorry, hang on. Hey, I just met you, and this is crazy, but here's my penis, so touch it maybe. It kind of slants right at you, but oh shit. Sorry. Those are from Call Me Maybe bracket Dirty Parody end bracket by Tim Chantarangsu. Right, sorry about that. Sorry. Here we are. And all the other boys try to chase me, but here's my number, so call me maybe. Before you came into my life, I missed you so bad, and you should know that, so call me maybe. I missed you so bad, I missed you, so give me scabies. Damn, sorry, that was from Give Me Scabies by Kitty.
Damn.
As you might know, it's not just Hunky Santa that this song influenced heavily.
A lot of other people.
Quite a few of parody versions.
Yeah. Look, I did read...
I'm pretty sure Weird Al would have had a crack at it at some point.
Oh, no doubt. Look, I read an interview with Carly Rae Jepsen where she said, and this is... I find this kind of depressing, that she said numerous dudes have approached her since this song's released
Oh,
and
of
used the
course.
line, I've just met you and this sounds crazy. And
Of
it's sort
course.
of like, and every single dude thinks they're being super original. And she's like, for fuck's sake, just get out of here. So,
Yeah.
the first guy that tried it, maybe give him props for that. But if you're trying it more than 2 weeks after this song came out, you got to assume that someone else has said that.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. That's like sending dick pics to Kesha this time. She's seen them, buddy. She's seen enough dicks for a lifetime.
Yeah, exactly. But has she seen a pumped up dick? I assume she has. So
Depending on the new technology.
Yeah, well, I assume, since I did my
if
dick work in 2012, there's
Yeah.
probably been a lot more technology in the pumped up
If
dick space.
Zuckerberg had put his efforts into that instead of this kind of half-assed 3D Second Life bullshit, then, we could be looking at
I can't
a new
imagine
revolution.
what kind of pumped up dicks we'll be seeing in the metaverse. I think that'd be massive. So, Carly Rae Jepsen, 13 mil, which doesn't surprise me. I mean, I probably listen to this song 13 million times a month on my own
she's
Spotify.
still putting out albums and
Yeah.
she still has lots of fans, but I think this is the high watermark
Yeah.
of her
Oh,
pop
no doubt.
chart.
And this will cost you $2.
$2,
which I
man.
think's probably fair.
Yeah.
Not too low, but not too crazy.
$2
So
worth of song.
If I went into a shop and I saw this for sale for $2, I'd probably part with that. Given that $2 these days gets you half a cauliflower, maybe.
a third of a cup of coffee in Melbourne,
Yeah,
unless you
exactly.
go to 7-Eleven.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so up next, 7th of May.
7th of May for fucking 8 weeks.
8 weeks,
Can
2
you
full
believe
months.
this? This is fucking Whistle by Flow Rider.
Wow,
Back again.
yeah.
Now-
this is as popular as you're ever going to get, I think.
Yeah. Now listen, Tom. I just want to start this off, okay?
Sure.
Because I will preempt you here because before you said I know you're a big Flow Rider fan, and I am, and I'm willing to admit that.
Sure.
You know I'm a big Flow Rider fan, but can I just start off by saying that this is fucking terrible?
Yeah, it's not great, is it?
Because I know that your default position is it's Flow Rider. Ben's going to love this, so I'm going to go to him. He's going to
Sure.
tell me all
Yep.
about it. But this is fucking woeful, and I'd just like to say 8 weeks, fucking oath.
I know. It's nightclubs, I reckon. It's shitty nightclubs is what you've got to blame for this kind of thing. But, I mean, truly, like, this is worse than that Blow My Whistle Bitch song that we mentioned
That's what I was
before.
going to say.
That's
This is
actually
like an
better.
off-brand,
Yeah.
and that's the song that I declared to be the worst song of the last decade.
It's pretty crap, and this
Yeah.
is somehow worse. Like, at least that's just a straightforward dance song with shitty lyrics. This isn't even that. It's
No.
like you couldn't even really dance to this the
No.
same way. Like, on top of
Imagine being a knockoff of DJ Alligator, but like a
I
worse
know.
version. Yeah, anyway.
that, I know. Like, look, this is Flow Rider's second blowjob anthem to hit number one. So clearly he's a fan, although whether giving or receiving, I'm not sure. Possibly
I
both.
don't know.
You know. The line, "Girl, I'm going to show you how to do it and we'll start real slow," suggests that Aunt Flo has a lot of technique that he's hoping to pass on. So, you know, maybe he's worried that she's not up to his standards.
No,
or
definitely.
he's not up to his standards.
Look, completely agree. Look, Kesha obviously learnt the first time and didn't want to take part in
No.
this. So I gather
No.
they asked her to do it. She went, no thanks. You think Flow Rider's doing the whistling, or do you think they had to get someone in for the whistle bit of this song? Is it an uncredited Paul McCoy? Because, all I can say is that when I listen to the whistling, I don't know if that's Flow Rider whistling. What do you think, Tom?
No, me neither. It could be some sort of electronic whistle.
It
could be
be.
a sample of DJ Alligator. Fucking who knows?
Yeah, I agree.
Could be TV Rock.
Yeah.
You know, that guy from TV Rock.
Didn't we? Wasn't there a song that we did in this podcast early on, and the whistling wasn't someone whistling? It was CGI whistling.
It was the Bangles.
not CGI whistling, but it was like a whistling effect. Yeah,
like
Fucking
really,
hell.
you couldn't find one member of the band couldn't whistle. You know.
Yeah, Flow Rider may have done that here because when as someone that's an avid Flow Rider fan, I think that I know the timbre of his voice quite well, and when I hear the whistling, I'm like, there's something not quite right about that. I think that Flow Rider's got someone in. So anyway.
What was the famous whistling song of the 2010s? It's not called the whistle song. It's
I don't know. All I know is that if it's not Winds of Change, I don't fucking care about it. So
called the Kids or something, or the fucking
Oh, look, there's some great whistling tracks over the years.
I hate it
sure,
when
but
why do I bring up things?
Just
when
don't
I
bring it up,
Can't
Tom.
remember. I know it's fucking
fine.
stupid. It's like I think that it'll suddenly occur to me. All right. Okay. During an interview with MTV News, Art Flo revealed that the lyrics of the song are sung in a metaphorical way.
okay.
Well, put your own swing on it, he said, but for the most part, I keep it clean. But if you listen to it, you can take it another way as well. When asked how does he know where to draw the line between sexually suggestive and downright dirty lyrics, he said that he writes lyrics in a two-level mode. No, he didn't. Sorry, that was... who was that? Derulo?
Derulo. He's got two musical modes, Tom, yeah.
He's got party anthems and he's got dark faux club thumpers.
Club thumpers, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. When asked how does he know where to draw the line, he acknowledged that when he's in the studio, I have my boys in there and they'll tell me and give me their suggestions and what they think. If it's too much, I'll go back. From that, we can clearly tell that there was originally a much more authentic and gritty original version of this song before Flo's boys gave him suggestions. Now, how do you reckon that original song went?
Look, I think it's either I'm in fuck mode, I'm about to explode, work that whistle and swallow my load. I think that's that one. Or I love the sluts when they're choking on my nuts, when they're choking on my nuts, when they're choking on my nuts. One of those two.
Sounds right.
I'm not sure, but I think that's how Flo Rida would have done it. And then the Friends, hit makers, would have said, dial it back a notch, let's bring it back a bit, and just do some whistle suggestion shit.
Some subtle whistle equals blowjob things, which nobody's made, certainly not in a black and white famous film noir that people still reference from about 1952. But yeah, since then nobody's come up with it, so good work, guys in the studio.
Yep.
Look, this sounds quite a lot like Moves Like Jagger in that they're both catchy a bit, they both have whistling, and after about 90 seconds you're quite sure you've absorbed everything the song has to offer and are ready to listen to something with a bit more balls like Carly Rae Jepsen, for instance.
Correct, yeah.
A bit more musical integrity.
Exactly. Look, the music video for this sees Flo Rida performing pretty close to the edge of a cliff, Tom. He's almost too close, so I'm glad that he didn't fall off into the ocean.
It's weird when they do that, isn't it? If you're going to try that shit, you really need a prop.
Yeah.
Slash style. You need a guitar, because otherwise you just look like someone who's precariously posing on the edge of a cliff.
Slash on the edge of a
obvious
cliff
reason.
with a guitar, you're going, he's going to rip out a fucking guitar solo, that's sick. But Flo Rida in a mesh singlet, it's like...
bare feet balancing on the edge of the cliff. You're like, did you get lost on your way to the rollerblading shop to get to the boardwalk?
Now, what I will say is that Flo Rida, for once, isn't on a jet ski in this music video, but several of the bikini-clad chicks are. There's a lot of fucking chicks.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure I saw a jet ski.
There's a heap of jet skis and chicks in bikinis in this one. Look, and the other thing is, I didn't realise until this video that Flo Rida has a sick full back piece. It just says Flo Rida with a hotted up car underneath. That's fucking radical. Like, that's on the back. Like, imagine that. So when Rihanna's pegging him with her strap-on dildo, she's just looking at his back and seeing Flo Rida written on there and a hotted up car. He also has a tattoo of Jimi Hendrix on one shoulder, Jesus on the other.
God.
Pick your king, Tom. I don't know which one it is for you, Jimmy or Jesus. And he also has Ray Charles and Marvin Gaye on the chest because they're all of his musical idols. All I can say is, Flo Rida, just be thankful you weren't a big Michael Jackson fan, because a massive MJ on the chest, that's probably aged about as well as that Call Me Maybe video clip. But
oh, God almighty. Yeah.
What song lyrics are the highlights to this?
Okay.
It's a lot of blowjob work, I guess.
Yes. Lyrical spotlight. Well, like all the best songs on this podcast, it took 6 adult men to write this. Flo Rida, David Glass, Marcus Killian, DJ Frank E, Brevin Isaac. Oh, I love the Brevin Isaac story. Sorry, or is that Brian Isaac, sorry, and Antonio Mobley.
Brevin Isaac would be a great
I had to
name
look at it up close because,
Brian.
Weirdly enough, my computer thinks that that's a spelling mistake because it's not a real fucking name.
What I love about America, Tom, is they've got a lot of names that we don't use down under, which
they
is
sure
fantastic.
do. It's
so,
just bonkers.
Yep.
They'll fully call their son Chaswick without a flicker of an eyelid.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Lyrics. Look, I'm betting you like people, and I'm betting you love freak mode, and I'm betting you like girls that give love to girls and stroke your little ego. I bet you I'm guilty, Your Honour. That's just how we live in my genre. Who in the hell done paved the road wider? There's only one flow and one rider. I'm a damn shame. Order more champagne. Dude, you've had quite enough champagne. What the fuck was that shit? I'm betting you like people. Who the fuck are you even talking to? Us? A woman? What the fuck is freak mode? What's your genre exactly? Blowjob anthems? Why would you make the imaginary chick you're trying to cop one off a lesbian? Why are you talking about the council's road widening program? Is wider really the only word you can think of that matches your own fake name? What about vagina?
Yeah. Look, here I was, Tom.
Hell.
Well, I thought this was a blowjob anthem, but it's really just about taking a 2-lane highway and making it a 4-lane highway, just so it's easier to get to the airport. So thanks for that, Flow Rider. But I like the fact that he started with, I bet you like people, and then, oh yeah, I do like people, and then he's sort of narrowed that down. And you like girls? Oh, yeah. And freak mode? And they're like going, whoa, just step it back, Flow Rider. So, look, he is a lyrical genius. He's probably one of the finest of our generation. 22 million people on Spotify aren't wrong, Tom. You know that. So. And it's 76 cents, dare I say, this is my pick of the week purchases.
Well, price-wise, sure.
Price-wise, yeah.
It's good value.
Oh, exactly right.
That's nearly 1 cent per allusions to getting your dick sucked, I think.
Yeah, no doubt. Look, Flow Rider, he's had a lot of hits, and I can't believe that 2 of them have been effectively blowjob anthems. So, look, power to him. What's your favourite Flow? Is this better than Round Round, or is this... I mean, this one's entirely original, because that was sort of just a slight reworking of, You Spin Me Right Round by Dead or Alive. But it's a tough call.
Of the 2, I'd say I'd go that one, but, yeah. I think I know the bar's not super high, but I'm pretty sure he's done better work than both of those songs.
Oh, well, look, I'm a big fan of that one that he does with T-Pain. I mean, that's obviously, a classic.
Sure,
so,
yes.
All right, Tom, any more to say about Flow Rider's blowjob anthem number 2? All right, up next, 25th of June for 1 week, Stay With Me Baby by Carice Eden.
Oh, that's Axel.
Give me some reggae, Tom. Tell me, what's the Carice Eden story?
Well, the reason that Axel is popping up there is because Stay With Me, often credited as Stay With Me Baby, is a soul song co-written by Jerry Ragavoy and George David Weiss, first recorded in 1966 by Lorraine Ellison, who's a soul performer who'd been singing in gospel choirs since the age of 6, and produced by Ragavoy. The 1981 Book of Rock lists called Ellison's version possibly the best female vocal ever.
Okay.
Surprisingly, a chick from Gosford who won the first season of X Factor knockoff, The Voice, did not manage to improve on that.
What?
I know 1981 was a little while ago, and there have been some pretty good female vocals since then, but still, that's quite a high bar for a chick from Gosford who won the first season of X Factor knockoff, The Voice, to live up to. However, absolutely. I would say, call me fucking crazy, this is still a pretty good version of a pretty good old song.
Yep.
I reckon. Carice Eden loved Janis Joplin, and her voice has a bluesy similarity to Janis's a bit, in a sort of general sense. And Janis herself covered other songs by Lorraine Ellison back in the 60s, so they were both obviously fans of the original performer. This is probably my favourite Idol cover that we've had so far, just because the original is so rad, and Eden obviously likes it as well.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
Look, I don't share your enthusiasm.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
But listen, the reason for that is, Tom, don't get me wrong, the reason I don't share your enthusiasm is because I watched The Voice version of this.
Ah, yes.
When I was checking out the song. And look, The reason I don't share your enthusiasm actually has nothing to do with the song itself. It has to do with the fact that in watching the live voice version, I had to see Seal, one of the two twins from Good Charlotte,
oh God, yeah.
Boring Delta, and dude that preys on women just out of Colts, Keith Urban, grooving along to this in what can only be described as footage, you know, with an awkwardness level of comes close to that Windows 95 launch video where Bill Gates and some other Microsoft nerds are dancing to the Rolling Stones' Start Me Up. If you've seen that, it's excruciating. And this was just sort of like, you know, Delta and Good Charlotte and Seal and Urban going, oh yeah.
It's pretty rough, isn't it? I mean, you know, to be fair to the music, to be fair to Bill Gates and stuff, they never claimed to be musically gifted.
No.
In fact, pretty much, you know, one look at them and you know that they're not. But these people are meant to be musical professionals. Because watching them awkwardly kind of...
Yeah, her vocals on this are very good. I agree with that. But you're right.
I just mean, really, it's the original song. The original's great, and she's got a decent enough voice that she can cover it.
She does. She does a very good job of this. She has a good voice, you know, a good voice for this style, and she does it well.
Yeah.
But watching these fuckwits just there going like grooving along like they're watching, you know, the Beatles for the first, like going, oh my, and then like someone's probably stands up or something, goes like, oh yeah, and it's like, you know,
it's like watching those Chodes watch Susan Boyle perform. I mean, like, she's actually pretty good at singing. All you have to do is sit there and look impressed. And yet they can't even manage that, despite the fact that it's their job to react to people singing. They still have to go completely off the wall, batshit, in a way that no human would ever actually behave. It's,
And look at who you got. You got one-hit wonder, maybe two-hit wonder Seal. You've got Good Charlotte dude who's famous because he's a twin, basically. His band's are fucking garbage. Boring Delta, who sucks shit. And Keith Urban, who's just a predator, effectively. So
also,
all
his
garbage.
name's wrong as well.
Yeah, and look...
Sorry.
So, no, it's okay. And the other thing is, while I'm talking about how Carice Eden can get fucked, her debut album was called My Journey, which is an instant hard pass
a bad
for me.
name,
So, But look, anyway, Eden signed with Universal Music Australia and released her debut single, You Won't Let Me. It was one of the 4 songs recorded by Eden that entered the ARIA singles charts, top 5 during the week of the 25th of June 2012.
Yeah.
So, top 5, 25th of June 2012, which is the week we're talking about now. 4 of the 5 songs. She became the first artist to achieve this feat since the Beatles, who held the top 6 positions of the charts in 1964. So it's fair to say that Carice Eden is the best artist since the Beatles.
Sure. Some might say the Beatles had 6 and wrote their own music 50 years earlier, but, you know, sure. I mean, I think she's definitely the new Beatles.
Oh, I don't think that's
that
too
means
far.
that, according to my friend growing up, she would have to push the Proclaimers out of the way to get to that position because they were the first new Beatles.
The new Beatles. Carice Eden is definitely the current new Beatles.
That would be a fun. If you wanted one of those dumb high concept book ideas and you're a music journalist with nothing to do during lockdown, you could easily write an entire book about people who have been called the new Beatles through history.
Absolutely.
You could write a 400-page book with 2 different people on each page, I reckon, and you'd still have plenty left over for the sequel.
Yeah, definitely. I wonder, do you think
just in the first wave of British bands since the Beatles, imagine how many of those twats like the Trogs and Herman and the Crabs would have been called the next Beatles.
I'm interested in bands that have been called the new Beatles and obviously didn't get to that but still had like a 20-year career of like pretty successful versus the new Beatles that one album in they were like gone forever. So.
Or people from a completely different genre and a completely different style of music who are described as the Beatles of, you know, introspective one-man deathcore, you know, or
yeah, exactly.
melodic hard trance, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Sort of thing. That'd be another sequel. That's 3 books you've got so far from this premise.
I think one of the most recent ones I saw, I think I've talked about this before on the podcast, where Donald Glover said that Migos were the new Beatles.
Exactly.
So.
Or no, he said they were the Beatles of hip-hop.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm thinking of. That's what I mean.
Has that come true or not quite? I don't know.
Well, I haven't seen him do anything for a while. The last thing I think was mostly just racial slurs and telling women they were sluts, but it is hip hop, so that's about 50% of it still.
Does this have any lyrical highlights, or you don't want to go there, Tom? I mean, it's not her original song, but
yeah,
so you can't.
The most interesting thing about this song to me is that it has no verses or choruses at all. Did you see that? It's just the whole song is just 16 lines.
It's one flow straight from start to end.
It's just 16 lines of a woman begging a man not to leave, pretty much, which might be why it's so powerful, like even being recreated 30 years later by an X Factor contestant.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, 50 years later.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to the Joel Turner beatboxing cover myself. Maybe one of those other...
Now, if Karen Eden wasn't doing this, which version do you think would be the best version of this to hear from one of the judges? Would you like to hear Seal tackle this? One of the guys from Good Charlotte, Delta, or Keith Urban? I'm going to say Seal.
Yeah, yep. The rest of them would be too embarrassing. Delta's version would be just the boring white lady version.
Yep.
Sort of harmless piano one. The Good Charlotte one and the Keith Urban would be fucking embarrassing punk and country covers, respectively. But yeah.
I think if Good Charlotte and Keith Urban teamed up to do one, I'd probably be into that because it'd be so terrible.
I wouldn't mind a Seal one where, like Kiss from a Rose, where... without knowing it, he does half the instruments by just going do into a tape player, and then they use them in the song. That could be quite fun.
That could be good, yeah.
Oh, and for fuck's sake, if you like this, listen to the original. It's way better, as you'd expect.
Of course it is.
And it's a short song. Like in a 1960s pop song tradition, it's about 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's right. Carice Eden, 33,000 Spotify listeners.
Mm-hmm.
Not very many, but that's okay. And Tom, we've finally got there. No physical release.
Wow.
It's bound to happen.
Wow,
so
yeah.
There's no physical copy of this on Discogs to purchase. So there might have been like a promo thing or something, but even Discogs is so extensive these days that it seems to capture promo singles, etc., that weren't available for public release. So
they were probably also expecting these things to be so ephemeral. She's got 4 in the top 10, and I bet none of them were physically released. I bet they just went, these are all just download only. Go nuts, 12-year-olds, knock yourself out.
Absolutely. So there you go. All right. Anything more to say about that? All
No,
good?
no.
Cool. Up next for 1 week, 9th of July, shouted out by the Masturbator.
Oh, he's back. It's Reese. I had a feeling
Now listen,
caused
Tom.
by psychic activity and the fact that I accidentally looked ahead in the Wikipedia pages, but
Now, Tom,
he was going to reappear despite all talent to the contrary. Reese is back.
Well, that's the thing, Tom. Look, last episode I did say, and I quote, "We'll never hear from that cunt again." But look, I was wrong. I'm willing to admit that I'm wrong, and clearly could have avoided being wrong by doing what you did and simply looking at the next week's songs.
If I hadn't done that, I would have agreed with you. Absolutely.
But look, I made a mistake, and I apologise to the Masturbator. But I will also say his pseudo-rapping in this song is at a level beyond garbage that makes me long for the days of the guy from Culture Beat.
Yeah.
Is he rapping in this? Because I think he is. And I think it's so bad that I almost, wanted to throw my stereo out the window.
I guess they had to put in something to distinguish it from his other song, fill in name of other song, because I've forgotten it already, in brackets, from last year. And because there's fuck all else to distinguish it.
So what can you tell me about Masturbator in this song? So.
Well, fuck, I don't know.
You don't have to tell me anything about the song. This song, what is it? It's like a pop-punk sort of...
Yeah, the other one was sort of pop-rock. This is kind of pop-punk with...
Pop-punk with some pseudo-rapping in it.
Yeah, they've leaned on the same... sort of shouty chorus thing.
Yeah,
it was written by DNA Songs and Reese. DNA Songs have popped up on here before.
Yeah, those guys suck.
I don't know if that was his last... It may have been his last song as well. But yeah, they're an Australian songwriting team. But yeah. No, they weren't. No. Or at least they weren't the only people on it from last time. But yeah, they've popped up here a few times in Australian territory, helping out bloody helping out Idol winners and so forth. At least he co-wrote it, so I don't
Yeah.
know how much of it he co-wrote. The music video was released on the 1st of July 2012 and stars home and away actress Rhiannon Fish alongside Maston on a romantic road trip getaway. It was named the, quote, hottest video of the year by Australian radio program The Hot Hits.
Ooh.
Now, what did you reckon was the hottest part of the video, Ben? I personally like the timeless evergreen beauty of Reese's clavicle-length emo fringe, scoop neck man blouse, bottle cap-sized earlugs and maternity jeans.
Indeed.
Which were, I want to say, all the rage at the time, but I'm not even sure if that's entirely true. I think most people would be pushing one of them and they'd still get hipster yelled at them on the street. But
Yeah, look, Tom, for me it was the hottest video of the year by far. It's a very hot video. But for me, it's one of those videos where it's what's implied. It's what you don't see. It's what
okay.
we know as an audience takes place from the context of the video.
Sure.
But they don't show us, and that's what makes it so hot. We have to read between the lines, and the hotness is sort of is in our own imagination. We watch the video and we're like, oh, goodness me. So in one part, for example, she runs off to use the toilet at a service station.
Yeah.
But quickly rushes out to indicate to Reese that the toilet is in a very bad condition. I'm not sure what Kesha would have done if she needed to do a snatch selfie in there. She probably would have had to have left. But anyway, she couldn't use the toilet because it's in a bad way. So that's where the scene ends. But we know that she would have gone and taken a shit on Reese's chest.
Yes.
Which explains the subsequent costume change from Reese. So that's what makes that part hot. That's fucking hot. They're on a farm, next sequence, just playing around, just having a bit of fun on the farm, and then the scene ends. But we know that he would have dicked her behind a cow shed. So that's the hot part of that. It's sort of, so it's in your mind. It's what didn't happen, but you know what happens.
Sure.
There's a swimming hole part as well where they're having to swim around, and you know that in that she would have got her cans out. But in the music video, she doesn't.
Implied, sure.
It's all implied. It's all in the spaces, Tom. But so that's why it's very hot.
I think they missed out on having a trick. They could have missed out on a trick. They could have had a erotic cow milking scene, possibly.
Absolutely
a lot of white liquid squirting into people's faces by accident, that kind of thing.
They didn't do that. But it's implied that that's what happened.
The film clip, much like the song, seems to possibly be going somewhere in a kind of very low momentum, low impact sort of way, and then just ends without anything having actually happened.
Nothing happens.
And remember the Maston tattoo curse?
I certainly
you brought
do.
Up?
I certainly do.
Yeah, where all the employees of the particular tattoo parlour where he worked ended up getting fired after
tattooing Reese.
Yeah, I'm starting to think that the tattoo curse was less about supernatural malevolence and more to do with an employer copying an eyeful of their employees' handiwork in widescreen HD.
Absolutely.
And going, fuck, you've got to stop advertising our goddamn tattoos on this guy because they all look like arse.
Yeah, Grandad's Indian headdress doesn't look as good on the old widescreen.
No,
does it? So.
He's also got just this tattoo flash stuff. There's a certain kind of pasty suburban white skin that tattoos look real bad on, like a 17-year-old, teenager with a neck tat. It just doesn't look right, I don't know.
Do you think the masturbator has covered up any of these tats since this time? Do you think he's just went Grandad's headdress? Don't know about that.
I'd like to imagine that
now.
he's gone back to the same tattoo studio for a cover-up job and got more people.
Fired. Getting covered up for the fired,
Eventually they went out of business and he had to go somewhere else.
The dude that does the cover-up gets fired, but then the person that does the original tattoo gets rehired. It's sort of like it's a horror film I'm working on. They all die at the end, so absolutely.
Sure.
The Grandad's Indian headdress jumps off the arm and starts murdering people. So, as you said, written by DNA Songs and Reese himself. Must be some great lyrics to this. I know Reese is a wordsmith.
So take a shot if you're feeling kind of heavy. Hit the sun with your shades and take a ride in my Chevy.
Good.
Reese is Australian mostly, and DNA are UK producers. Sorry, I thought they were Australian, but they're UK.
That's fine.
Have any of them ever owned or driven a Chevy? No, they haven't. They don't sell those cars in either country. So why would they put Chevy in their lyrics? Well, for the same reason, English songwriter Bernie Taupin put it in Crocodile Rock by Elton John, because it sounds American and therefore kind of sort of more like what a pop song should say in it, according to some ancient, stupid metric. The difference is that Crocodile Rock was written in 1972, exactly 40 years earlier, which means that, as the rest of this song demonstrates, Reese and DNA really haven't advanced the idea of what constitutes a rock-tinged pop hit in 4 fucking decades from a template that frankly wasn't exactly authentic in the first place. Look, there's an amazing Arctic Monkeys song called Fake Tales of San Francisco. Do you know that song?
I do, yeah.
That's really good. I think it's the only song I've ever heard that actually investigates that topic at all. The idea of, like, generations of musicians retelling these superannuated ersatz tales of places they haven't been and things they haven't done forever and ever and ever through the form of shitty classic rock covers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just say forward, you fuckwits. Americans have those as well, for fuck's sake.
Absolutely. So, from what I take from that, Tom, is you're saying that Reese Maston is the new Elton John.
Yes, that's
Okay.
exactly.
That's good. That's
and DNA songs are the new Bernie Taupin.
So those lyrics were terrible. There is another part of the song, Tom, where he says rock and roll is here to stay. Now,
God, if he's done any effort to demonstrate that, I've yet to hear it.
I'm not certain, and correct me if I'm wrong, is Reese qualified to comment on the status of rock and roll?
No.
Maybe if the lyrics were shit Australian Idol pop songs are here to stay, I'd take his comments more seriously.
Unfortunately, at this point, that seems like they are. There was about 5 years there where I thought we'd successfully, like the drunk guy who thinks he's successfully got rid of his hiccups.
Yep.
And then 10 minutes later, he's hiccuping again. Yeah.
I don't know. Look, Maston Beta, 100,000 on the Spotify.
Wow.
There are currently no copies of this for sale on Discogs. It's also never been sold. However, there are 2 people that have the CD single in their want list. So, best of luck to them.
Are those people called Reese and Maston?
If I find a copy of Shout It Out at the op shop that I frequent, and I do find a lot of fucking hot garbage there, I'm going to buy it, put it on the old Discogs for $45 to $50, see if one of those 2 people buy it at that.
Hey, look, if you're delusional enough to go on the internet and admit to wanting a copy of this, then you're probably delusional enough to pay $50 for a homemade burnt CD of a copy of this off a cassette with the name texted on the front. You could probably make a quick $100 off that.
Do you reckon if I write Maston Beta on there, it'll sell for more or less? Sure. Hard to say.
I probably think that's his next nom de plume.
Definitely. 16 July, 1 week, Blow Me, bracket, One Last Kiss, end bracket, comedy title, from none other than Pink.
Second gobby anthem of the year, third rough sex anthem of the year. Unusually not by Flo Rida. What's happened? Is he losing his touch of the shaft?
I'd say he is, absolutely. Tom, if you can believe this, the song was originally just called Blow Me, but the record company said, no thanks, Pink. That's too racy, so they added One Last Kiss in the brackets at the end.
Well, that saves it. I'll put my monocle back where it had previously fallen.
Is Pink capable of writing a song that isn't some sort of like breakup / hard done by story?
Apparently
song?
not. I mean, as we previously revealed, she's been married to the same fucking motocross rider since 5 years ago, 5 years prior to this. So she's not even really qualified for that anymore.
They had a bit of a break, and then she wrote a song about him. But then by the time she made the video, they were back together.
Yeah,
so she keeps writing these fucking...
She's currently married to that guy. They've got several children together, so she's still doing the Weezer thing. She's still writing teenage breakup anthems at the ripe old age of whatever she's now, 40?
Yeah.
She'd have to be at least 40.
Now, I reckon she would have been 40 at this song. Yeah, definitely. Sure. But look, Pink told the Australia's Today Show, Tom, which is one of the best shows on television here in Australia, quote, "It's a really fun song. I can picture everyone extremely drunk dancing late at night together. It's a very happy song, although it's angry." Now, let me stop you there, Pink, for 1 second. Firstly, it's a very happy song, although it's angry, makes no fucking sense at all. It can't be a happy song and an angry song. I don't know what you're talking about. Now, Tom, if you ever see me drunk dancing to this late at night, you have permission to push me off the balcony of the venue we're at. If I'm dancing to this, I think it's best just to end it right there. So... Can you picture anyone you've ever met drunk late at night dancing to this?
It's like we've talked about this before with what was it, So What, and then what was the last one we had, the Put Your Drinks Up song. That one. She seems to have this image of her crowd as these kind of drunky, punky, tearaway, largely female, adult women, going through some stuff and working it out on the dance floor. I'm not really sure if that actually represents her audience, to be honest. I think there's a lot more 13-year-olds with pink written on their pencil cases than she imagines. But hey, she's the one on stage. Maybe she's seeing them, but fucking, I don't know.
Yeah, I sort of think that you get to a certain age and it's like you can still express that sort of, sort of hard laugh.
Yeah.
Or, I'd probably just be listening to something a bit darker and gloomier than, what I mean? Like sort of.
Yeah, when people are going through breakups, I'm not sure whether they want to.
Are they throwing
kind
on
of
pink?
Stuff. Yeah, fuck it, I don't know. And I mean, it's like, again, she kind of seems to imagine herself as a punk, but yeah, I mean, if it's reflected in her music, I'm not hearing it, other than the fact that she's got a kind of a little bit of an edge to her voice.
Yeah. Do you reckon there's a big crossover between Pink and Typo Negative fans, do you think, Tom? People just want something a bit darker,
Well, I mean, they did do that cover of Summer Breeze.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Good cover.
Absolutely, good band.
Look, I really don't have to say much about this. I mean, look, I watched the video. It's by the same people. Like the song, sounds like her other stuff. The video looks like her other stuff. The best thing I could say about it was I grew up watching Express Yourself era Madonna, and I have to admit that Pink with a smoky eye and slicked down hair in a black power suit dancing with a hot chick is fine with me. She can do that whenever she wants.
Yeah.
But that's about the most interesting thing that happens in the video. What is it? She goes to court or something like that, or what is it? Or
I think I might have stopped watching halfway through and just sort of went and did something else while listening to the
rest.
rest
If you can
of the
wrap your mind around it, Ben, I think what happens is there's some sort of civilised occasion and Pink shows up and disrupts it.
What?
I know.
Really?
It's
Holy
like,
shit.
it's the most original idea I've seen since the Spice Girls did it for...
She chainsawed down any trees in the bit of the video I didn't see. Did that happen?
Probably,
yeah.
She probably tripped over at some point, stood on a skateboard for 2 minutes, gave someone the finger, probably.
Hit me up with some lyrics, because I
Sure.
imagine it's going to be a tale of woe. A Shakespearean tale of woe with, many twists and turns and
Sure.
heartbreak and
look,
deaths, etc.
You can tell that neither of us want to talk about this song that much.
We've spoken about Pink a lot.
We have.
I don't have a lot
and
more
she's
to say
really
about
not adding much.
Pink.
here.
And she's probably going to pop up next week as well, to be honest. So,
surely.
Yeah.
She had more hits than I remembered her having, to be honest. I think I stopped paying attention after a certain point. This was written by Pink and Greg Kirsten.
Yep.
And he's a pop producer who's worked with Kylie, Sia, Lily Allen, Shirley Manson, Kelly Clarkson, Lana Del Rey, No Doubt, Adele, Ellie Goulding, the Foo Fighters, and many other females. Ha ha, cop that, Dave Grohl, you big poof. Sorry, just went back to high school for a moment there. There's nothing wrong with the Foo Fighters. They're certainly not sort of watered down Nirvana. Sorry. People seem to have this weird love for the Foo Fighters. I don't hate them, I'm just not entirely sure. I think it's like most of their appeal seems to come from the fact that Dave Grohl's just a really likeable dude, He
is very likeable.
Do you know anyone who's really, really into the Foo Fighters, like they're their favourite band?
I don't.
They must exist.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've certainly seen a live concert video of them playing at like Wembley or something. There seemed to be like 100, like 80.
Oh yeah, totally.
They play in front of massive
They
audiences.
sure do. I haven't met anyone.
I saw them at a
in real
music
life.
festival once, and there were a lot of people that seemed like really, really, really into it.
Everyone I know loves Dave Grohl, and everyone I know's got one Foo Fighters CD at the back of a cupboard, pretty much. But I don't know anyone who actually listens to them much.
I think there's probably a little bit of diminishing returns. Like I think people sort of off the back of Nirvana, it's like, what's this guy going to do? And Everlong's like a fucking classic rock song, you know, like
Yeah.
a really, really great song, and I always, think it's a really, really good song. And I'm sure they've written some other good songs over their career, but I just
fan of
don't
their
know.
very
man.
first single, "I Don't Owe You Anything." That's
Yeah.
a cool song. It probably sounds a little bit more Nirvana-y than
I probably haven't really paid much attention
much
to them over
like
the past period of time.
Pearl
but-
Jam from about album 4 onwards. They seem to just have embraced the concept of dad rock. And just gone, this is where we're comfortable. We're just going to make quality A-tier dad rock for future classic rock stations, you know?
Absolutely.
Someone has to make dad rock, you know. The synthia is gone. It's going to be something that sounds like it's 20 years old, even when it's brand new.
Yeah.
But we're going to make a solid version of it. But anyway, sorry, that's got nothing to do with Pink.
No, I made the statement that if there's a big four, big four of thrash, people talk about big four of thrash. If there's a big four of grunge, I made the statement that Pearl Jam are the worst of the big four.
You're certainly your least favourite.
Didn't like that. They didn't like that I made that thing, but they're not as good as Nirvana, Soundgarden, or Alice in Chains, so that puts them well and truly fourth on my list.
Sure,
of the big four, So.
Yeah,
that's okay. Where do Foo Fighters fall? I don't know. Anyway, it's okay.
Yeah, they're
Move
not,
on
I mean,
to this.
they're sort of. I mean, they're not even post grunge.
They're basically Lifehouse. They're basically in the same genre as
Lifehouse.
Lifehouse.
Unfortunately,
Post grunge. They're post grunge. You got to say it is. Just because Dave Grohl's in it doesn't mean that they get to qualify as grunge.
No,
not that they probably ever want. They're more of like a rock. Dad rock anyway.
That's what I mean. They're more just kind of straight rock.
Yeah.
Good music videos though. Did you watch
absolutely.
that? Have you seen that horror film they made recently?
I haven't.
I might actually check that out. They do seem to have a
good sense of humour.
Yeah, and a decent sort of screen presence. He makes a very good Satan in The Pick of Destiny, anyway.
Oh, indeed, yeah.
You guys are fucking lame. Sorry. Shouts out to Paul F. Tompkins there for one of his rare film appearances. The line, "There's a little bit of Satan in all of us." It's a very good line delivery. Okay. As previously mentioned, there's basically a holy trinity of dumb pop song subjects. I want to bang you, I'm sick of banging you, or I'm sad you're banging someone else.
Yep.
Pink's creatively gone with option B here.
Oh, yeah.
Just when it can't get worse, I've had a shit day. Have you had a shit day? We've had a shit day. I think that life's too short for this. I want back my ignorance and bliss. I think I've had enough of this. Blow me one last kiss. I mean, it's better than Reese Maston and the Chevy Crew, I guess. The thing that surprised me is that she totally missed the opportunity to work in any oral sex innuendos other than the title.
Yeah.
I don't know if that counts as false advertising, but I do know that a missed opportunity like that would have Flo Rida tearing his hair out if he had any. Tearing his white vest off, possibly. Maybe.
He'd be
tearing another rip in his white jeans.
He'd be ripping apart that mesh singlet because they rip it apart very, very easily. So I think, he does like a sheer sort of mesh type ensemble. So that's so that people can sort of peer through and get that image of Marvin Gaye on his torso.
Sure.
So, the lyrics are pretty bad, but you're right, better than
Remind me how a Pink is doing.
27 mil.
Okay.
On the Spotify.
Oh, that's a lot, but it's only a little bit more than old whoever we had last.
Doesn't surprise me though. She's a pretty big artist. And
totally. I'm surprised it's not more.
This would cost you $6.
I think I can think
too
of
much.
better things. I get a latte for that.
That's true. I would purchase one latte in Melbourne for that. All right. Up next time, 23rd of July for 2 weeks. Some Nights by Fun.
Fun full stop are back.
They're back.
Is that fun, Ben?
Look, I assume it's an ironic band name. Like when people in Australia call someone with red hair Bluey, that sort of thing. Or,
yes.
Someone that's really like short, like Tawley or some shit like that. As this band is the antithesis of fun.
Well, for what it's worth, I think this song is more fun than the last one. For whatever that's fucking worth. It's certainly weirder.
Oh, it's definitely weirder. Yeah, absolutely.
It's sort of a... It's sort of a retro marching tune.
Yep.
With a rousing multi-tracked vocal that aspires to sort of martial epicness. There was Coldplay did something a bit similar later on. They had that Viva La Vida or whatever, that sort of Yeah, going like, well, we're all trying to make arena choruses. Let's go back to the original arena chorus, which
marching.
is trying to get a whole bunch of soldiers to march in time, or an excuse to play bagpipes for a bit.
Yep.
Look, I'm not sure if it's good or not, but it's certainly a little bit more interesting than some of the shit we normally cover. They keep trying to slide guitar shredding in there.
Yeah.
And that sounds fucking weird as well, because it would in a fucking martial marching song. There's a total bullshit on-purpose auto-tune bit right in the middle of the bridge for no reason at all, because the guy has a pretty decent voice, and this bit consequently sounds like shit compared to the rest of the song. I mean...
Oh, look, compared to Masturbator, this sounds like Prince, doesn't it, really? So, look...
it's certainly more inventive, I'll give it that.
Oh,
it doesn't really work, but at least there are interesting components sort of sandwiched.
It's inventive to a
together.
point, because, as you mentioned, it does sound sort of like a bit of a marching drum sort of thing. So they've just sort of tried to, crowbar that into a pop song.
Yeah, and then it sounds like the guitarist's going, oh, but there's no guitar in it now because there's a marching song. And they're like, all right, you can have one solo, and then the producer's going, well, where the fuck does this go then? And all right, we'll just go over the top. And then the guy at the back's gone, look, I bought this new auto-tune machine. What are we going to do with this? You can actually sing, It's like, look, we'll do a little bit of Flow Rider right in the middle for some fucking reason.
Yeah, look, I'm just glad the band weren't killed in a Civil War reenactment video clip. So,
yes. Yeah. I mean, I think the decision to use the Civil War in the video sort of suits the anachronistic nature of the music. Although, if Fun made a video like this in 2022, it'd probably result in a few thousand deaths. Things seem to have gotten a bit tense over there lately.
Yeah, I mean, you could have done... Yeah, that's it. 2012, a Civil War reenactment music video. People just go, okay, yeah, it's a bit of a marching, get that, fine. But these days, I'm sure each side of the political spectrum would find something about that that's either to be praised or to be completely...
offended by it.
Exactly.
I mean, who knows?
So look, the lead vocalist of Fun... He came up with a title before he wrote the song for some. So basically, Some Nights. So Some Nights is the name.
With a title like that, you wouldn't want to forget it.
Well, exactly. So that's the name of this song, but it's also the name of the album of which. So this is the sort of the single that that comes off the album with the same name. So he recalled to Billboard magazine, quote, "I think we're up in somewhere in Scotland touring, and I said to the guys, hey, check it out. I want to call the album Some Nights. I had no idea where that came from, but they were like." That's a fantastic name for an album. Now, Tom...
These are the same guys who named their band Fun, so I guess their bar is pretty low.
Some Nights. That's fantastic. With band members so easily impressed, it explains why their music is so dog shit. Fucking oath. What a disgrace.
God.
That's it, though. Imagine it being so, uninvested or just so unimaginative that someone comes in and just goes, oh, I'm going to call it Couch, and you just fucking, yeah, bro, let's do that.
It's like when
Some Nights.
Do you remember when we did Beautiful Day by and then they were talking about, I think it was The Edge said, Bono just came into the studio and he said, I've got this line, it's a beautiful day. And from there we were just like, wow, it's just like inspiration just struck. Like, I don't know whether you're lying to justify this, B, you're all on so much drugs that legitimately happened, or C, that is like how imaginative you are, and you genuinely were blown away by this. Like, some nights, fuck, man.
Some nights.
Although being in Scotland, maybe they heard a marching band and that's where they got the thing. That
Some Nights. Fuck yeah, bro.
Summer Nights? Some
Nights. Oh, so not like every night. Nah, just some nights.
Not last night. Okay, no, just a random night.
I assume the lyrics are amazing.
Oh, look,
based on
they're
how they
every
were
bit as
impressed by
imaginative
Some
as
Nights.
that. There seems to be about weighing up the sacrifices that Nate's, I think it was called, Nate's made in love and in his career, and in love for his career, which coincidentally is the same topic as that song by Gym Class Heroes from earlier in the year, except he goes a bit more roundabout with his war metaphor. This is it, boys. This is war. What are we waiting for? Why don't we break the rules already? I was never one to believe the hype. Save that for the black and white sort of, press metaphor there, about the band maybe. Try twice as hard and I'm half as liked, but here they come again to jack my style. I'm not sure who's jacking his style exactly. Maybe One Republic or something.
Probably, yeah.
I sold my soul for this. Washed my hands of that for this. I miss my mum and dad for this. Now, yeah, it sounds like he's been on that gym class heroes tour bus for too long.
Yeah.
Those guys are hardcore, man. It's like G.G. Allen all over again. Just when you start to nod off, they're all throwing feces around and giving each other swastika tattoos.
Absolutely.
One of those guys is the driver, You're like, dude, keep your eyes on the road. I've got blood running down the middle of my forehead from the Charlie Manson tat that I
exactly.
inspired to give myself. Yeah, no, look...
8 million for Fun on the Spotify. We mentioned that before. This will cost you $2.90. I don't think I've heard a note of Fun since this song. Is that fair enough? Did they stay together? Did they break up? We've no idea.
Honestly, I don't remember this song at all. I'd heard the other one before.
This is the one I knew of the two.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, I think I'd heard that other one maybe once or twice, but no, I didn't know it was by anyone called Fun, full stop.
So they sort of showed up out of nowhere, had a couple of hits, and then just disappeared off the face of the planet. And that's how I like it, Tom, because I don't really think I need to hear any more of their work again.
Yeah.
So
personally, I prefer the album Big Fun by Scatterbrain, which is
absolutely.
the follow-up to Scam Boogery, which... no, sorry, it was the album before Scam Boogery, featuring Don't Call Me Dude, I think.
Correct.
No, I think I've got them, bro. I'll have to check. All the Scatterbrain fans out there will come at me.
They'll be fucking coming at you. 6th of August for 2 weeks. It is Tom Boom Boom from the Justice Crew.
Fucking hell, Ben. Remind me once more, how many booms was the optimal number, and does this fit in with the theory?
Yep. The optimum number is 3, which is the number used by Paul Lukakis in Boom Boom Boom, Let's Go Back to My Room, and the Out There Brothers in the seminal Boom Boom Boom, let me hear you say where, boom boom boom. So 3 is the number used by Lukakis and the Out There Brothers, whereas Boom 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 Boom, I Want You in My Room by the Venga Boys.
Yes, too many.
Or was that Aqua?
No, Venga Boys. They had Boom Boom Boom.
So they had 4. So there you go. So Justice Crew here have used 2. So I don't think they've got enough.
Yeah. Yes. John Lee Hooker had a song, Boom Boom.
Yep.
Yes, and as his later work with U2 showed, he clearly wasn't up to the task of being a pop singer.
I think when people say who's the better artist, John Lee Hooker or Paul Lukakis, most people fall onto the Paul Lukakis side of the fence.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Paul Lukakis song is just Boom Boom.
In the title, but in the actual song he says,
you're
Boom
right.
Boom Boom, let's go back to my room.
It's weird that you should say that because a similar thing happens here. Look... Either way, look, to me this sounds a fuck-sight like a song written and performed by people whose primary talent is breakdancing as opposed to songwriting. In fact, their attention to musical detail doesn't seem to have turned up the fairly obvious fact that the chorus says boom, 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 not boom, boom. But never mind. So they've done a Lukakis. They could have had the 3-song title, the 3 boom, which might have propelled this. But unfortunately, with merely 2 booms in the title, they couldn't do it. Even adding an extra boom for the chorus.
I know. I see. You've mentioned. Sorry, they say boom, boom, boom 3 times in the song. I think they do that sometimes, but then other bits of the song they only do it twice.
Yes. Well, in the lyrics it says both, but if it does it in the song, I couldn't hear the double boom. It must be lower down in the mix. But yeah.
Yeah. Look.
All
anyway.
Right. This is important details that need to be...
The fact is that this doesn't have enough booms for me.
No, extra booms would have improved this.
Look,
prime number booms is what you want.
Yeah, look, but as you said, Tom, the Justice Crew for me don't have enough booms, and as you mentioned, they won Australia's Got Talent off the back of their breakdancing abilities. So they have no fucking business whatsoever working as recording artists. I think that's the point we need to point out here. The problem is that Australia's Got Talent, Tom, they realise that it's impossible to monetise popping and locking, You know, what are they going to do with that? Release an instructional dance VHS or some shit like that? So I guess they had to say, oh, fuck, the Justice Crew, they've won this thing. What can we do? Dancing's almost music. Let's just make the musicians. And that explains why not only this song is so shit, but weirdly, the choreography in the video clip is fucking garbage as well.
Yeah, it's because they're better at breakdancing than they are at recording themselves breakdancing.
Yeah, I'd say
really,
so.
they should have... I would much rather watch a 5-minute video of a dance battle between Justice Crew and the So Solid Crew than listen to any song by either of those two acts recorded independently.
It's fucking audacious, though, for the Australia's Got Talent sort of producers or whatever to say, okay, we're going to make a TV show where, okay, so X Factor is just singing and all the other things are just singing. Let's do a show where we can have singers, but we can also have, you know, poppers and lockers, some fucking dude doing, you know, magic tricks or something, someone doing a backflip off some shit, whatever the fuck may be. And then we're going to choose the winner of that, and then they win the show. That's great. But, you know, Justice Crew won. They're the best... purportedly the best people on there doing their shit dancing, but then why do you need to sort of have to parlay that into a music career? Couldn't they have just said, all right guys, just go to shopping centres and do your popping and locking shit, and people are like going, yeah, rad, that's great, that's all we need to see from these guys. So,
absolutely. They would probably have got a longer career, frankly, at this
absolutely.
At this stage. I mean, you know, I don't want to fucking oath Axel. Sorry.
If you
I think Axel only just realised that the Justice Crew were...
If you win a contest as dancers, perhaps try and use that as a career doing dancing. Or some sort of dance-orientated thing. Because this song's fucking garbage.
It's terrible. I mean, let me ask you this. Do you think the Justice Crew had more success at turning breakdancing into pop rap than Joel Turner did at turning beatboxing into a heartfelt indictment of society's indifference towards homeless street kids?
It's a good question.
I think I'm going with Joel Turner. Yep. I'm thinking that Joel Turner's beatboxing skills lent themselves to pop music better than the Justice Crew's ability to do a handstand and wiggle their legs around.
Absolutely, yeah. Definitely. I'm a much bigger Joel Turner fan than of this stuff.
Yeah, so. I'm sticking with Joel because it's just fucking shithouse. Tom, it sounds like a sort of wafer-thin Derulu knockoff who already sounds like a paper-thin Timberland knockoff.
Oh, yeah.
And Timberland wasn't Captain Original himself, quite frankly, as his name would suggest.
Completely right, Tom. Look, this is actually their 5th single, if you can believe that.
God almighty.
None of the preceding 4 managed to get anywhere near the top 10, so I'm surprised that whoever signed them kept this going this long, you know what I mean? Like, you've had 4 singles that no one gives a fuck about, let's just keep going. So they even had a Flow Rider feature in one of their previous singles, which didn't help them. So, you know, Flow Rider brought his same energy, but I guess when, you know, Flow Rider's first forced to work with total garbage, you're not going to get much.
Well, Flow Rider was King Midas at this point.
Oh, you know, exactly.
He was having a brief window. If he couldn't turn this into gold, then nothing.
How are we going to break this Justice Crew? Get the fucking Flow Rider in here, and that doesn't work. You know, what are you going to do? So their cover of CNC Music Factory's Everybody Dance Now, Tom, didn't trouble the charts.
How dare you? I'm offended on behalf of CNC Music Factory. They did not deserve that shit.
That didn't trouble the charts.
They wrote things that make you go, thank you very much.
Oh, exactly. And either did their... they released a single in 2019. That's their last single. So they kept recording up till then. That didn't trouble the charts either. But the single just prior to their last one, their second last single, Pop Dat Buckle... yes, Pop Dat Buckle. I gather another blowjob type anthem.
Yep.
That reached 102 on the chart, so the Australian public had truly spoken by that stage. We don't need another song from a fucking dance posse. So
no,
look, Tom,
we don't.
You know, while we're here talking, you know, so highly of the Justice Crew, I think it's, you know, fair that we acknowledge the former members of the Justice Crew. We're paying, you know, tribute to the Justice Crew. But what about those that are no longer part of the Justice Crew? I don't want them to feel left out. So, look, they don't get the recognition they deserve. So, thanks for the memories, Scrap, Kid Taz, and E-Man. The latter of which was unceremoniously dumped from the Justice Crew because, quote, a star player hogging the ball or wanting the spotlight isn't what the Justice Crew represents, Tom. So, he wanted to hog the ball. I assume that's a metaphorical ball. There's no ball in a b-boxing crew. But E-Man wanted the spotlight. and the other Justice crew just went, no thanks, you're out of here. So there
maybe he put forward a suggestion at one of their band meetings in the Coles car park around at Winnie Blue that they should concentrate on writing a decent song instead of achieving a sort of all-around level of extreme mediocrity, and then got kicked out of the band shortly afterwards.
I'd say so. What sort of justice were they fighting for, Tom? Do you know that?
I'm not sure, but, you know, if it was the justice to get way further than a bunch of bloody, you know, okay breakdancers deserve to get,
they've done it.
Then they've achieved that.
They've achieved that goal.
Yeah. Look, lyrically, they're surprisingly good. No, they're not. Damn girl, you're a 10, oh my, and you keep looking at me. No wings, but you so fly. If you got a man, tell him bye, bye, bye.
Good.
I think that might be the third wings fly metaphor in the whole song.
Yep.
Different lines, it's just like that's the only metaphor any of them knew, and they all used it in their 4 lines.
Yeah.
And that's the best verse in the song. Everything else is less imaginative than that. This is a massive step down from Paul the Carcass's Boom Boom, Let's Go Back to My Room. Yeah. Although he did give people HIV on purpose, so swings and roundabouts, but, you know, when you're listening to this song, you start thinking, well, they do have some pretty good drugs for HIV these days.
That's true. Exactly. Look, much like Justice Crew having no business releasing pop music, if you're HIV positive, you probably have no business working as a male escort, but look, that's okay. As you mentioned, good drugs in the HIV space, so Paul Akakis, he's probably okay by most people these days. Look, Justice Crew still have 500,000 listeners on Spotify. Mm-hmm. And Tom, this is going to cost you $20.
Fuck.
Yep.
Wow. I'm guessing that's because they did release it on CD at the very tail end, but they printed about 6 of them.
Yep.
One
I
for
think
each
there was
member
only
of
one,
the Justice Crew.
1 or 2.
And they're all selling their copies on the internet for $20.
Exactly. So there weren't many copies available for sale in the Discogs, like 1 or 2. But yeah, the dude that was trying to sell it just went $20 for that shit. So power to that guy. Okay, Tom, up next, 20th of August for 6 weeks. That's a month and a half.
6 weeks.
It's Battle Scars by Guy Sebastian and Luke Fiasco.
There's Axel reminding us that Guy Sebastian is, of course, possibly our longest-lasting fucking reality TV show person. Did he win the first season of...
Yeah, it was around 2000 and 2002-ish, was it?
So he's managed
he's been cranking 10 years at this point, so that's okay.
On the charts, not just, out the back of a band handing out ice-cold cans for Nova FM.
Yeah.
I think we had Kelly Clarkson last year, and she has been around since the first season of Australian Idol, American Idol. So she might be older, but she's American, obviously.
Still getting a lot of Guy Sebastian work now, but it's been a while since we've heard anything from Scandalous, Tom. So I'm not sure. They'll probably pop up next week.
I'm keeping an ear out. Yeah.
Or Robert Millsy Mills. Where's he at these days? I'm not sure.
Who was that twat who did Sounds Like Whoa? Feels like whoa. I'm sure he's still kicking it in Bondi.
Is that the guy that changed his name because he didn't want to be associated with any sort of
like Maston? He was one of the newer generation that realised too late that being on a reality TV show actually hurts your career.
Bad idea
if you ever have any hope of credibility.
Exactly.
Look, this is it, Ben. This is the high watermark of what historians will refer to as the Sebastian wave.
Yep.
6 weeks at the top of the charts doing an okay song with a then popular and artistically credible American artist Lupe Fiasco of Push fame. He even co-wrote it with David Ryan Harris, who also worked with him on Like It Like That, which is my previous favourite of his songs that we've covered so far, low bar that it may be. And Lupe Fiasco provided the dope raps. The Sebastian wave crested at getting a song to number 71 on the US Billboard charts with this one. And he did sell 1 million copies in America, which is pretty decent for an ex-Idol contestant. A lot of them would be lucky to sell 1 million copies of anything ever.
Yep.
And he still looks like a school kid extra from Home and Away well into his 30s.
Yeah, indeed. Was Lupe Fiasco, was he forced to work on this? Was it some sort of No,
I think it's more that Guy Sebastian was at the very apex, and Lupe was kind of dipping down from his earlier. His heyday had been a few years before this, and I was going to say Lupe vanished from the charts quickly enough that I thought maybe he'd been caught with his fingers in a publicist or something.
Okay.
But no, he's still putting out music. He just seems to care less about the charts than Guy Sebastian's. He still works. He was always kind of a... I don't even know what the word is because I'm not cool enough, but the term for like alternative hip hop, it's kind of like sort of indie hip hop, like mainstream. And he had a few mainstream hits, but I don't think he ever was like, he didn't seem to want to be the next Kanye or something like that. He just keeps doing sort of his own stuff.
Well, even dudes like Kanye are sort of operating outside of the mainstream these days.
A little bit, yeah. So. He wants both. That's the Kanye problem. He wants massive commercial success, but he also wants critical...
Yeah.
He wants people to think he's a legitimate artistic genius as
well.
Yeah,
exactly. Or I guess there's a lot of... Yeah, that's it. But you're right. Like, I think most sort of... not every rapper wants to have a number one hit. They're just quite happy to sort of...
Some people, like the gym class heroes, are content to, exist outside the mainstream.
Exactly.
On a tour bus at 3 a.m. doing bongs.
Yeah, plus you can sort of... you can make a very decent living just touring and releasing good music that doesn't have any sort of pop appeal. So... Lupe, not sure what he's up to now, but as you said, still going.
He's still doing stuff. He just got less mainstream over time.
Look, we've spoken about Guy a lot. Don't know if I have much more to say about Guy.
I was going to ask if you feel like you've gotten your own battle scars from listening to a decade of reality TV hits from already forgotten artists in 2012, let alone 10 years later.
You'll see what 10 more years to go with this. But, look, to be honest, they're getting... I think the problem is that some of them were so shit that they were... funny and how terrible they were. For example,
like
Scandalous, just like that's just comically garbage. But we've entered a period now where a lot of the ones we've listened to recently, they're just very boring.
Yes, they've figured out how to sort of polish the turd to the point where they sound sort of like C-tier American stuff, and it just like
it's kind of like, oh, hey, what's popular now? Oh, Beyonce. Okay, Gary, can you write something that sounds a bit like Beyonce? And it's like an F-tier Beyonce.
Yeah.
And then the winner comes in and does it, and it's like, that's just really boring.
Yeah.
So that's sort of what we're left with now. But look, this one, it's definitely one of Guy's better songs.
Yeah, it's not terrible, And I quite liked Lupe Fiasco at the time. Like I said, I haven't followed him since he was on the charts, but I liked his earlier hits, and... Yeah, This isn't too bad. It's the kind of thing, and it's sort of achieved like B tier, not classic rock, but like dressing room playlist, stuff when you go to a clothes shop. So you still hear this kind of thing in Target occasionally,
Yeah, exactly.
It's not going to be in 10 years' time. I doubt this will be on any AOR radio playlist, but for now it's kind of it's sort of...
Look, Tom, I'm not hearing it on Coles radio, and I think that's sort of an indicator of where it's heading.
If I was at the checkout trying to remember whether I'd bought eggs or not, and looking at the flannies on the side of the checkout counter because I'm in Tasmania and they still sell 3-packs at the checkout, then I would probably... I wouldn't run back in to get eggs just in case I got a double load of eggs, but I wouldn't run out of the store either the way I would if, say, Blow Me by Pink came on.
I think I'd just leave it a regular sort of... You'd go about your business in a regular fashion. Correct. That's what this is. It's a go about your business at the checkout type song. Did Guy pen some memorable lyrics that will stay with you for life, Tom?
Well, as mentioned, at least he sort of co-wrote this, so I'm not sure what percentage of them he did, but at least he was involved. It's a pretty standard, what my Trinity? Number 3, I Wish You Weren't Banging Someone Else song. And just leave then. You shouldn't have, but you said it, and I hope you never come back. It shouldn't have happened, but you let it. Now you're down on the road screaming medic. The only thing that comes is the post-traumatic stresses, shields, body armours, and vests. Don't properly work, that's why you're in a locker full of hurt. Shout out. movie reference. The enemy within and all the fires from your friends, the best medicine is to probably just let her win. That's not too bad. That's Lupe doing some raps, not Guy doing the choruses, so he doesn't get any credit for that. I should have checked that first. Much like the band Fun, Lupe was smart enough to realise that Benatar was right 40 years ago when she said that love is a battlefield.
Correct, yeah.
I'm not sure about love, but getting to the bar on uni night at the saloon was certainly a lot like going over the top during World War I trench warfare, although the mudfields of Passchendaele had more hygienic toilet facilities. I'm not entirely sure why I decided to say that, but it seemed like something that needed to be mentioned. I think I just always associate love and seduction with the saloon bar on uni night. Yeah. Look.
I'm sure a lot of people met their, wife or husband at the saloon.
I'm sure
maybe.
they did. Yes, I'm sure many children were born there, whether or not, or conceived there, whether or not they were looked after by the two people who were involved in the toilets or not.
A lot of adopted children were probably conceived there, I'm not sure.
I did once leave there by climbing out onto the rooftop and running home over the roofs like I was Batman.
Really? How far did you get?
I got all the way home. I did.
Where did you jump off?
There was a window on the upstairs level that just went out onto the roof, and I just climbed out. It was a full moon, and it just looked really cool.
On that street?
I lived in the city, so I just climbed across rooftops till I could get down. And yeah,
good.
We tried it again later on because I crapped on about how much fun it was, and then we got about 2 roofs across from a different place, and then all got in trouble because we heard an alarm go off, and then we didn't actually get in trouble. We heard an alarm go off and ran away, and then the police came and asked us if we'd seen anyone climbing on the roofs. And we played dumb, which was easy to do because we were all fucking 19 and thick as shit.
Yeah.
So,
that's good.
Anyway, I was just trying to draw allusions to the fact that he's decided to go with the battle love metaphor. It's good to hear that.
Oh, I think this song is about fleeing out of the window of a nightclub, so, from what I understand. 2 million for Guy. He's an Australian. He's basically John Farnham these days. He's an icon. Lupe Fiasco, 4.5 mil.
Yep.
Double the Guy, and this would cost you $1.81, which is better value, but I still would not pay that much.
Sure. How many for Guy?
2 million.
2 million. All right, that's good for an Australian.
Pretty good.
Who was on reality TV.
All right, Tom. Up next for 1 week. 1st of October for 6 weeks. Gangnam Style by Psy.
Yes.
How's that?
That's pretty good. So, of course, I was joking before when I said that Korean guy who did Gangnam Style because everybody knows it was by Psy.
Oh, look.
You couldn't avoid that piece of information.
I never need to hear this again in my life because at the time it was everywhere for what seemed like fucking forever. But the reason I don't need to hear it again is because I've heard it about 1 billion times in my life. But this was a cultural phenomenon and a real one.
It was.
Not like today where a kid jumping off a garbage bin into a pool soundtracked by the Spin Doctors is a cultural phenomenon on TikTok.
True. No, it was a
legit thing where people were like... People were starting to Google where South Korea was.
Yes.
People were like, what's South Korea? What is this?
International hit, like in a way that you really don't get very much anymore.
Exactly.
We have, you'll see something will happen in the Western world sometimes, but that doesn't mean you don't see them on a talk show in Russia and Uzbekistan and China. Whereas this was just everywhere in the whole world.
Yep.
I think I lost track of the number of times I saw him showing someone on TV how to do that dance,
exactly.
Which is pretty good for a song that's not about a dance. He just does that dance in the video. It's not like the Macarena where it's kind of like, hey, watch how to do this. Although, as we talked about before, the Macarena wasn't actually about how to do the song either. It was about a chick banging a couple of dudes while her husband was in the army. Sorry, that was a weird one.
But look, you could... Battle Scars, Guy Sebastian featuring Lupe Fiasco, you could have avoided that. You could be at a point in your life now, 10 years on, where you've never heard that song before in your life. But I don't think there's anyone alive that or was it live in 2012, that didn't hear this song.
No, about 20 episodes ago, I mentioned I think it was the first song we talked about with Guy Sebastian, and I said this song, Battle Scars, was this high watermark, and I couldn't remember who else was in the song, what it was called, or what it sounded like. I just remembered, which isn't even enough to Google it.
No, true.
So I just remembered that it existed at some point. Whereas, in 20 years, people will still remember fucking Gangnam Style.
Oh, they will. I mean,
even if it's only because their parents will embarrass them by doing that dance at their wedding after they've had 6 mojitos,
or because I'm sure you're going to mention it soon. But I mean, obviously, it has a very iconic video too.
Sure does. Even aside from the dance, personally, I have to admit, like you say, I probably don't need to ever hear this. It's not an offensive song, but I heard it so many times that I pretty much never hear it again. Personally, I prefer his follow-up single, Daddy. Have you heard that one?
I have, yes.
It's pretty nuts. It's exactly the kind of ridiculous but ridiculously listenable 4-minute dance floor banger that the 17-member team involved in Justice Crew's single failed to create even vaguely. The video is also fucking insane. It's Psy's head crudely deep-faked onto a dozen different phases of his life, from being a baby to an adult. Yeah. It also contains the line, "You be my curry, I'll be your rice," which I'm planning to use in the vows at my wedding ceremony after Kat Dennings finally realises she's married the wrong man. Oh, fuck, it's Andrew WK, isn't it? There's no way I can compete with that. Maybe I'll say it to myself in the mirror before I go out next time. But that said, this is a pretty rad video. I think we can agree. Yeah, I think it was directed by the guy who made Parasite, or something. Sorry, that's my racist Korean joke. What are your favourite parts of the video, Ben?
Oh, look, as you said, I don't think this would have been anywhere near as successful without the video.
No, it's pretty great.
In fact, I think without the video, it might have been much of a hit outside of South Korea. And the reason I say that is because I do remember that, as we said at the start, this was very much a viral thing where people were like, "Hey, have you seen that video?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "What? Is this some South Korean
elements,
thing?" So,
it's more than the sum of its parts.
Yep.
You got this catchy song that's kind of weird.
Yep.
It's got a weird sort of breakdown chorus which happens to have English words that people can sing along, even though the rest of the song is in Korean. It's got a weird sort of odd, silly video.
Yep.
It's got the crazy dance that he does that's repeated all the way through the song, and I think also equally importantly, he doesn't look like it's not like some cool K-pop guy with a fringe, or 17 of them, as is now the fashion. Yep. It's this kind of middle-aged looking guy with a bit of a chub on, He really does. At several points in the video, he's wearing like a suit, or like a suit with the vest off, like a white shirt, and he looks like someone's uncle at a wedding who's remembered this dance that he used to know how to do, sort of, and he's kind of leaning into that, like he knows how dorky he looks, I get the idea that...
Exactly. So I think
those elements
2012,
together,
we're at the territory now where everyone has a smartphone.
Yeah.
Or if they don't,
yes,
most people our age have
we're
a smartphone.
viral ready at this point.
So someone says, have you seen that video? There's some dude doing a wacky dance. It's all crazy. You can at least... You might be like, oh, that's not really my thing, but after 10 dudes say whatever... You watch it and go, oh, that was kind of funny, or whatever. So everyone has seen this, and then it got to the point where, it obviously broke out from just being a hit in South Korea to now it's been viewed fucking so many times, it's crazy. But and as you said, I think a part of the appeal is that, yes, the typical Korean boy band is, 7 dudes or whatever that are all, extraordinarily, in good shape, great physical condition.
All look about 16.
Yeah. Whereas this is, you're right, it's a bit of a sort of a chubby uncle dad dude. So I think that's part of the appeal.
It's kind of wacky.
But look, I remember when this came out, I remember seeing it going, that's pretty fun. My favourite part of the video, sorry to answer your question, Tom, is where I think though it might almost be knocked off a little bit from a Blink-182 video, where he's sort of sitting there, he's doing a singing, and then they zoom out and he's taking a shit on the shitter.
Yes,
so that's funny.
That will never not be funny.
But I'm pretty sure Blink-182 did that in what's that?
The one where they're a boy
all
band.
the small things, I think, like the
Yeah.
dude sitting there and then they zoom out and he's taking a shit. But so Si's ripped that off from the guy that believes in aliens. But
Sure.
anyway, it's all good.
Yeah, my top 3 bits are the bit with him in a tuxedo and Sonny's between hot chicks walking towards the camera in slow motion, sort of bad
But it's
boy
like
style.
a wind tunnel. It's like,
But
is that
yeah,
one?
and then there's a fan blowing their hair back, sort of Roger Vidura style.
Yeah.
But then, for no reason, someone starts feeding like detergent foam into the fan, and they all get totally splattered with white crap. It looks like they've flown through a bird strike or something like that.
But that's all. But when they're walking towards the camera as well, it's just like garbage flying everywhere.
Yeah,
So
it
that's
starts off, and then
Yeah.
they just get kind of splattered with. Number 2, the bit with this sort of fairly conservatively dressed women doing an aerobics class. Like it's not Fall on Me or anything. It just looks like a normal aerobics class. And then one chick bends over, and Cy appears, and he's so excited with her ass that he just screams at it from like 3 inches away.
Yeah.
Just screaming this kind of terror paroxysm of terror. And she doesn't notice that happening. And I like the bit in the car park elevator where the doors open and there's just a guy in shorts and like those horrible kind of plastic sandals is just riding Cy like a horse. And like waving while the doors open in real time and then just slowly close again. And that's it. That's the end of it. There's also a pretty good bit where Cy goes past in the background in a speedboat dancing, but it's not like some rap video speedboat. It's just like one of those little trailer-sized speedboats where there's just like one little guy with a steering wheel and he's in the back. And it's not a sunny day. It's like a sort of grey day. There's people dancing and he just putters fast in the background.
I think it's
it's got it all, this video.
It's kind of, it's a little bit, you know, what you would think about modern TikTok sort of stuff where, you know, very, very short videos. But this seems sort of like a lot of short ideas of like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if, you know, I was out in the water and the day was a bit shit and whatever. Wouldn't it be funny if I was in an elevator doing this? And it's also the juxtaposition of like some of the classier bits where something's a bit fancy happening / then that's, you know, straight into getting hit in the face with garbage. And then all of a sudden it's something else where he's like doing a choreographed dance routine in the car park. Then it's him under a bridge and something gets blown up. And it's sort of, so it's all these little sort of short bits put together where you didn't know what was going to come next.
I mean, you probably would have heard this too at the time, but like supposedly, although it's not really reflected in the lyrics, but then I'm not from Korea, South Korea, so what would I know? But supposedly it's kind of a bit of a piss take of the idea of this fancy section of soul where kind of the upmarket. In the video there's a lot of sort of people with fascinators on, horse racing, the kind of stuff that rich people entertain themselves. And although there's a lot of dorky fashion, it looks like the kind of dorky fashion that's probably really expensive. You know, that sort of weird, like the plastic sandals. They're probably fucking Gucci plastic sandals that cost $1,000, shit like that. And I think that's why there's that sort of constant repetition of people being undercut with silly behaviour, you know, and I think maybe the horse thing comes from the, like, I know a lot of Asian countries do seem to like horse racing quite a lot. I know Singaporeans and shit, and the Japanese love horse racing too, so maybe that's got something to do with it. But like I said, I'm not South Korean. I just heard that in some interviews, you know, but I think Gangnam's a place, isn't it? Or like it's a locale
market. Part of
Anyway, look, after all the viral fuss and the talk show shenanigans of the song, re-listening to it 10 years on, like, what do you think? You don't need to hear it anymore?
I don't, but when I did listen to it, a lot better than I remember.
Yeah, me too.
And by that I mean, a lot of these songs, you know, that are viral songs, you listen to it and go, oh, that was a shitty gimmick novelty song, or that's
or it's got one good bit that people like.
But this is still sort of like, you know, if I'm at a party or something and someone put it on, ironically, I wouldn't be mad.
It sounds like effort has been put into it.
I'm not sitting at home going, oh, what do I want to listen to? I'm going to throw this on. But you know, if I did have to hear it again. not too angry about it.
If someone said, "Hey," if I was doing drawing and I was listening to YouTube or whatever, and someone said, "Hey, let's put on a whole Psy album and see what it sounds like," I'd go, "All right, sure, I'm curious."
Absolutely, I've got 45 minutes. That's it's fine.
For disposable pop dance, I'd put this well above most of the shit from the last 5 years.
Yep.
And sure, 2 billion views on YouTube seems a bit excessive, but this is a fuck sight more re-listenable than One Republic, the Baby Shark song, or In Love with the Cunting Shape of You.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know when you looked this up, Tom, but it's actually at 4.5 billion views now.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
I think at the time it had 2 billion because it was the initial the holder for.
Was it the first song to crack a billion? Was it? I think, yeah, but 4.5 now. I think Baby Shark's the number one song now, isn't it? On YouTube?
Yeah.
But that's also because it goes for 2 minutes and it's just parents putting it on a loop because their kids are like, more.
Depressingly, I think Shape of You was the number one actual non-kid song. That is, yeah. The other slightly depressing thing about this I think I've mentioned this before, but as going back to what you were saying about songs moving into YouTube, moving from like physical, copies, and also the way things are a viral hit via YouTube instead of via musical sales. I won't pretend to remember the exact figures, but I do remember seeing that the money that Psy made from this, people worked out, or at the time anyway, even though the majority of people would have listened to this on YouTube with music sales a distant second, then the money he made from this was corporate sponsorship mostly, with CD sales a distant second and YouTube monetization a far distant third, a very small percentage of this. So we've officially reached this point where if you want to go viral or you want to get popular, you've got to be on YouTube, but fuck making any money from that. If you want to make money, if you want to monetize that, you have to monetize it outside of YouTube or Spotify because they're not going to be paying the cash.
He still purportedly made about $10 million though off YouTube views. So.
Oh yeah, well I mean in the end he probably did, but yeah, I mean there are I realise there are other ways to make money off YouTube than just clicks.
Yeah,
but yeah. Anyway, I'm just saying he made a lot more money getting a Korean mobile phone company to sponsor him than he did from actually selling records.
Yeah,
which is a bit rich when 2 billion people have listened to the song. But,
Now, Tom, after the song had gone viral, as you'd mentioned, and had a lot of plays, it gets to a point in time where I guess the viral nature of it starts to fade a bit. You reach peak viral, people sharing it to their friends, etc., etc. But once everyone has seen it, then you can't really expand on your audience because it's just the whole world has effectively seen it.
Critical.
So it started to fade a bit. So Psy thought, I need to give this a fresh coat of paint.
Yeah.
So he teamed up with MC Hammer at the 2012 American Music Awards to perform the song in a medley with Hammer's Too Legit to Quit. They did the routine again on the ABC's New Year's Rockin' Eve.
Wow.
So, do you think that this song, Gangnam Style and Too Legit to Quit, make a good mashup? Should Psy have also made the music video go for 25 minutes with a massive sort of intro of him just going, Psy's quit the game.
With James Brown.
With Bill Murray coming and going, not even or everyone was on that video clip, but F-grade sports stars and just sort of maybe Guy Sebastian going, Shawnee B going, Psy's quit the game, and everyone's going,
I'd like to think that Psy would have thought that was funny.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Psy, we haven't heard a lot from him since then, but he never needs to work again, does he, off the back of this, effectively?
I wouldn't have thought so. I'm assuming he has fans in South Korea.
Oh, exactly. He had his moment of international fame where everyone in the world knew who the dude was. Then after that, it was obviously going to fade away. He can still crank out songs in South Korea. I'm sure he can perform in front of big audiences. That's great. But yeah, I'm sure if he has to quit tomorrow, he's done enough of this. So
yeah, I hope that a lot of, because obviously this is far from being a one man show. I'm sure that a lot of production people and dancers and collaborators got cash off this too as well.
Yep.
You know, and I mean, he's not even above trying to resurrect MC Hammer's career.
No, exactly.
You know,
so good on him.
Part of this MC Hammer Charitable Foundation, since he got kicked out of his Pumps and a Bump mansion, he needs all the help he can get. Lyrics, all right, well, written by Psy and frequent collaborator Yu Gun Hyung, entirely in Korean except for the words "Hey, sexy lady, baby," and "You know what I'm saying," and Gangnam Style, sort of, I guess, which in terms of English legibility still puts it well above the average Fergie song.
Sure
but
does.
You know me, Ben, I can't resist a spurious internet translation of a pop hit, so here goes. A girl who looks quiet but plays when she plays. A girl who puts her hair down when the right time comes. A girl who covers herself but is more sexy than a girl who bears it all. A sensible girl like that. I'm a guy who seems calm but plays when he plays. A guy who goes completely crazy when the right time comes. A guy who has bulging ideas rather than muscles. That kind of guy. Beautiful, lovable, yes you, hey, beautiful, lovable, now let's go until the end. Gangnam Style.
Nice.
So, you know, I'm not sure, as I said, I'm not sure whether that's supposed to be satirical in some way, whether he's taking the piss out of those ideas or the way they're presented or not. But yeah, look, maybe the video does all the talking.
Yeah.
I'm prepared to concede that we may well be missing a lot in translating a dissimilar Asian language into English, but it sounds like the lyrics make about as much sense as the average Western dance song, e.g. not much. Yeah. As is also sometimes the case with Western hits, the themes of the song seem a lot more obvious when you've got the video to lean on. I mean, let's be honest, without the video, the Metallica song One is just James Hetfield growling like a dog playing tug of war for 8 minutes and occasionally yelling landmine over some shredding, you know. And I'm here for that. I'm just saying, you know, if I hadn't seen that video, I wouldn't have necessarily known it was about someone who'd had all their arms and legs blown off.
No one would have known.
No. Well, unless they had the Passhead t-shirt with the full lyrics written on the back.
That's
so
true.
Your grade 7 homeroom teacher could read it.
Exactly. 6 mil.
6 mil. Okay.
So
Not that much. That's only 3 times more than Guy Sebastian for a guy who was the #1 hit on YouTube.
But I'm not sure. I mean,
smaller audience.
And also, I don't know whether there's other streaming services in South Korea that are more popular.
Sure. Or I guess it might be possible that just no one in the world outside of Korea has heard any of his other songs.
Oh, that's true. Exactly. 6 mil is probably pretty good. Exactly.
I think I only watched Daddy because I lived with a girl who was quite weird, but I'm glad I did. Because now I've got the line, "You be my curry, I'll be your rice," to fall back.
And $2.90.
$2.90, okay.
Not bad.
Sounds
okay. 12th of November for 2 weeks. You ready, Tom?
Sure am.
Don't You Worry, Child by the Swedish House Mafia.
Yes, I did remember this one. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, fuck that Derulo bullshit. This is actual old school big room techno, or house, I guess, if you prefer. Swedish House Mafia is a Swedish house music supergroup consisting of Axwell, Steve Angello and Sebastian Ingrosso, formed in 2007 along with Eric Prydz, who left shortly after they came together. Now, all of those people would be known to your Ministry of Sound types, or would have been known 10 years ago.
We know Prydz off the back of his classic video.
Sure, yes, that's right. He knew class.
Call on me.
He knew class when he saw it. Yeah, but all of those people tour independently and stuff anyway. As this video suggests, they broke up shortly after this song, which was their biggest hit, #1 in Australia, UK, Sweden, and top 10 all over Europe. 5 million copies sold in the US. That said, predictably, they reunited at the end of the 2010s and released their first studio album, Paradise Again, this year, 2022, I mean. Did you watch the video?
I did, yeah. It's crazy how big there were, the people, like how many people there were.
Pretty nuts, isn't it?
It's insane.
Yeah.
So they released their first album this year. So prior to that, they'd only just released singles, basically, had they? Or
what dance acts would often do is they would do sort of like the dance equivalent of mixtapes, e.g. Like DJ sets, but some of the songs would be other people's songs which they'd remixed or mixes of, you know, so they'd be like, so an actual...
So a lot of mixtapes and singles and EP.
And collections and stuff, but their first actual album, I know that seems weird, that your album comes out 10 years after your video documenting you breaking up. It's a bit strange.
But yeah, that was the thing that I noticed about this sort of watching that. And I remember this music video from the time when it came out. Like, I remember this song from when it was first released. And watching that, it was sort of interesting. It's like they're playing in front of this insanely massive audience. They've got this song and some of their other biggest hits of their career, and then it's just like, oh yeah, we're giving it away. Like, but did people know that they were retiring? Like, was that it? Like, we're retiring, so everyone just went, oh, we better go to this show because this is the last time we'll see them. We're going to buy a copy of this single because it's, or was it sort of a bit of just, no, this was just a good song that people liked?
I think it was a massive festival.
Yeah.
And so they decided, hey, we'll go out on a high, we'll film our thing at this thing. But that doesn't change the fact that, the video starts with a newsreader announcing the breakup of the Swedish House Mafia. You know how the 7:30 report is always crapping on about European EDM collectives dissolving. And then we cut back to the halcyon days of 2005, a whole 7 years earlier, back when DJs still used CDs to mix their songs, and the House Mafia were only 28 instead of 35. What a time. Well, at least the video does serve to highlight, as I mentioned, one cultural artefact that might seem hard to imagine for future generations: the sheer arena-filling sizes of crowds that fairly average prog house DJs were able to attract in the aughts and 90s and 2010s. Seriously, it looks like fucking Michael Jackson came back from the dead for one night only. I think there's 60,000 people in the crowd, for real. Unfortunately, their next concert in Dublin was less successful when 9 separate people got stabbed for reasons that authorities are still unclear on. Perhaps they shouldn't have played that collaboration with Knife Party. They did actually do a collaboration with Knife Party.
They did.
But this was pretty much the end of it was a sign-off. The video makes it look like their last show, but they did a few others.
Last, yeah.
But and I'm sure they all kept touring. I mean, if you could get paid to tour as a DJ, why the fuck wouldn't you? I mean, apart from not killing yourself with ecstasy, it would be the easiest job in the fucking world.
Look, I wasn't sure if that news report at the start of the video clip was a fake one, like the MC Hammer video clip we talked about recently, but I think it was real. Like, the Hammer one, Too Legit to Quit, was definitely not real, because I don't think I've seen
James Brown present the sports report.
Exactly. But look,
I mean, it might have been like MTV Music News or something like that. But
yeah. So as you mentioned, this was just sort of Swedish House Mafia was just effectively DJs that just got together to record songs. So which was put their collective talents together to do this, but. Is this song, Don't You Worry Child, itself as a song, is this a better song than From Miami to Ibiza?
By the Venga
Swedish
Boys?
House Mafia.
Oh, okay.
They do a song called Miami to Ibiza.
Well, I mean, there was a 5 to 10 year period where it was legally, you were legally obligated to reference Ibiza in at least 50% of the songs on your collection.
Yeah, exactly.
If you were any sort of DJ, and Miami on at least 3. So, I think there was an express plane flight that went from Miami to Ibiza where there were no seats. It was just one giant rave party. And, some people never realised they were on a plane. They thought they were still in Ibiza before they stepped out and realised they were on the front lawn outside a visibly confused Pitbull's house. Well,
I mean, Flow Rider was the pilot, so I guess you're thankful you're on drugs. You don't want to know that. What about the lyrics to this?
Look,
EDM doesn't always have the best, track record for lyrics.
No,
but
it doesn't. Some suggested that Swedish House Mafia were a double bluff cover for agents of the Swedish Real Mafia, and the stabbings at the Dublin Festival were a way of finally eliminating enemies of the organised crime gang by sending them counterfeit VIP contest tickets to an Irish progressive house festival and then shanking them in the boom room when they were distracted by 3 pink Mitsubishis and a podium dancer's furry cans. But those people were wrong. They were proved wrong because of the excellence of the lyrics. Unlike a lot of house music, this does actually have normal verses and chorus provided by songwriter John Martin, who's not normally in the band. But There was a time I met a girl of a different kind. We ruled the world. I thought I'll never lose her out of sight. We were so young. I think of her now and then. I still hear the songs reminding me of a friend. Up on the hill across the blue lake. That's where I had my first heartbreak. I still remember how it all changed. My father said, don't you worry, child. Heaven's got a plan for you. Apparently this was something that John Martin's dad actually used to say to him. I guess Heaven's plan was that he write lyrics for dance music and have a centre part with designer stubble. I've heard worse plans from Heaven, like, I don't know, strap these explosives to your chest and walk into that shopping centre. So, yeah, I suppose we should be grateful that occasionally he's more on the progressive house front.
Oh, yeah. Look, I think if God or Jesus was more on the progressive house front, it would be a positive, I think. So
yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So, look, I'm thinking of fashioning something my dad used to say to me into a Eurodance hit. What's for dinner, child? Shit on a stick. So, something along those lines.
Yeah, I could do...
What's for dinner, child?
Watch where you're going, child. Don't put that in your mouth. Yep. What have I told you about doing that, etc.
Exactly. So, look, Swedish House Mafia, 20 mil. John Martin, 4 mil. And $18.70 for this.
That's what I mean. So, 20 mil. And that's 2 mil less than fucking... Who was it? Who did we have?
1870 is expensive, but it's cheaper than the Justice Crew. So if you got $20 to drop on a CD single, I'd go this over the Justice Crew.
20 mil.
Every day of the week. So
you just can't really... Like, dance is still so popular, especially in Europe. 20
they
million.
love that shit.
That's getting close to, like, Pink. Not for individual DJs, for 3 DJs in a short-lived supergroup who put out their first album this year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man.
I wonder how many Ice MC's got. It must be 50 mil, I assume. Sure. So. All right, 26th of November, 1 week, Tom. What You've Done to Me, Samantha Jade.
Ah, yes. Samantha Jade.
What can you tell me about this?
Well, first up, this was the winner's single from Season 4 of the reboot of the X Factor Australia.
Fucking oath.
Pause for breath, which Samantha Jade won.
Yep.
The song is another nugget pinched out by DNA Songs of Guy Sebastian fame, plus Tanya Doko from Bachelor Girl, if your memory goes back that
Jesus
far.
Christ.
And the government-mandated Swedish guy, in this case an ex-colleague of Max Martin's called Jörgen Elofsson, who wrote for Westlife, Boyzone, Britney and Agnetha from ABBA.
Look, this is about as generic Eurodance revival as you can get, I think. So.
This kind of thing shows you what Swedish House Mafia are actually doing.
For
whatever you think of 3 guys possibly not actually playing instruments of any kind at the front of an enormous crowd, at least the music is of some
that
kind
last
of quality.
Swedish House Mafia song, I think...
or
in
even
that style,
Gangnam
it's a
Style,
very
for
good song.
Sake,
That's it.
It's got something.
Don't You Worry, Child is a catchy song.
It's got an emotional component. It makes you feel something, and you can dance to it. I mean, what the fuck is this nonsense?
I would dance to that on the side of a river.
I'd dance to Gangnam Style if you gave me 6 beers.
This, exactly. I would need a lot of drugs to dance to this one, I think. So, look, the video, I don't know, Tom, if you noticed that, but it seems to be filmed inside an active volcano. So we should be thankful Samantha Jade wasn't burnt alive in the process. But look, I guess, Tom, I know what you want to ask. You asked me what the fun story was before, and I said, who the fuck cares? So you probably don't want to ask me what the Samantha Jade story is, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. So look, it's one of perseverance. The Samantha Jade story is perseverance, Tom. In 2003, she and her family moved to Los Angeles to pursue music. Now, at that stage, she was 15, I believe.
Yep.
2004, she signed with US record label Jive Records, who's a legitimate record label, not just some fly-by-night bullshit. And she recorded a few demo tracks, and she co-wrote a song, Secret Love, which was recorded for the soundtrack to the 2004 film Shark Tale. So she's going to be the next Bryan Adams, basically. She's co-writing songs for great films, such as Shark Tale. 2006, she recorded the title track to Step Up For the dance film, Step Up, Tom. You may be familiar with that. So she's in soundtrack territory. That song was written by Diane Warren and produced by Wycliffe Jean. 2007, she released her follow-up single, Turn Around. So look, she's doing a lot of single work at this stage. Okay, so it got to the point where she finally recorded an album. My Name is Samantha Jade. It's a very sort of great album title
yep.
because it's, it's factually accurate. Unfortunately, the single Turnaround debuted and peaked at number 83 on the ARIA charts, and after 3 years with the label, the Jive said, My Name is Samantha Jade, shelved. Unreleased.
Yeah.
So, set back number one. But don't worry, except the label dropped her then. They went, we don't want you to partake in us anymore. So there you go. But look, she got picked up by Affinity West Entertainment. She recorded the album Golden Touch, shelved.
Okay.
So she's got 2 shelved albums. So there you go. After that, what do? 2 shelved albums, not sure what's going to happen with your career. So she decided to go into the X Factor, and she won. Fantastic. So once she did that, her old record label decided that they would release the shelved album, one of the shelved albums. So yeah. So that's basically her story. She also did some acting in a film called Beneath the Blue, which was a sequel to your favourite film, Tom, I believe, Eye the Dolphin. I know you're a big fan of that one.
Sure. I thought you were going to say Blue Crush, and it was like, no, I've actually heard of that. But
she did a track with David Guetta for his 4th studio album. The track didn't make the album, unfortunately, so another setback. So yeah, a few hiccups here and there, but she finally got there. After a couple of shelved albums and a few David Guetta collabs that didn't go anywhere. Moved back to Perth. She's from Perth. Went on the X Factor and she made it. And then after winning, after that struggle of several years, they allowed her to release this hot garbage, Tom.
At that point, you might have to ask yourself, would I not have been better off just in the modern world, just releasing shit under my own name?
Yeah, look,
maxing out a few credit cards for a basic promo budget and, rather than selling my soul to Satan for 15 minutes of non-fame.
I think in 2020, that would be a best bet, but maybe in 2012, it still seemed like a good idea to go on the X Factor.
I can only imagine, I mean, say what you like about reality TV, but I can only imagine how frustrating it would be to go to all the effort of really putting your heart and soul into 2 entire albums, and then just having a record company go, no, we own these and we're not going to put them out.
Yeah.
We just don't feel like it. Even though at this point, we don't even have to physically print CDs. We could just release them online, but we're not going to do that because we don't want to. Either that or they sucked absolute arse. I guess that might have been.
Well, they were terrible, Tom. Did I mention, though? I think I failed to mention that she also had a short-lived stint on Home and Away.
Well,
so there you go.
If that's not going to get you a music career, I don't know what is.
Yeah, but I think
it worked for Kylie and all those other people.
Yeah, after an extended period, though, of sort of failed singles and non-album releases, maybe do you need to look at yourself for a second and just say, okay, look, maybe you need a little bit more than a pretty face and the ability to hold a tune. I guess you need that X factor that perhaps she obviously doesn't have because no one's really cared about following a career.
Well, that's the perfect irony of the show title, X Factor, is if you had it, you wouldn't be on this fucking show in the first place.
Yeah, so look, I guess that's it.
That's the exact thing. Yeah.
But as we've learnt, Tom, if she was to just say, maybe I'm good, but I'm not great, I'm going to give it away, we know that leads to a career of turning the sign from slow to stop on a roadworks site. So, look, anyway. But look, to her, sort of, what I will say, Tom, is at least she hasn't stooped to the level of releasing a Christmas album. Oh, no, wait, she has. It's called The Magic of Christmas.
God damn it, so, you had me going for a minute there.
She has released one called The Magic of Christmas. But, Tom, her commitment to making it in the mainstream, to get it to, actually getting from that step of sort of being, a wannabe artist or sort of a very fringe artist to becoming a popular artist, she's gone all in because She's even got to the point where she's engaged to Pat Hanlon, the son of Dennis Hanlon, a disgraced former CEO of Sony Music Australia. So she's got engaged to the CEO of Sony Music Australia's son, in the hope of trying to get big. So Hanlon, the dad, he was alleged to have routinely singled out members of staff for humiliation and intimidation, which left many traumatised and resulted in 50% annual turnover of staff, which is obviously good. It's alleged that he ordered employees to be fired for, quote, not smiling at him, or that he didn't like to look at them. He fired people for being pregnant, and several women were made redundant while on maternity leave and received cash settlements following the termination of their company. So he's obviously a good dude. But look, Pat, the son, who's engaged to the fiancée of Samantha Jade, he was also a Sony Music executive, and I assume he was there due to his ability to sign and mentor up-and-coming artists, and had nothing to do with the fact that his dad was the boss. So, all good.
God damn it. Wow. I mean, it's a great story. Everyone looks great. I'm happy with everyone involved in that entire situation. They all reflect very well on them as human beings.
Samantha Jade's had to call it... She's had to postpone her wedding 3 times, apparently, due to COVID, so... But it's all good.
That's true. I mean, it could be worse. She could be marrying Kyle Sandilands for an internship in
Jesus.
Kyle Tech or whatever his fucking corporation's called. Look, for the first live performance show in September 2012 on X Factor, Samantha sang Katy Perry's Wide Awake and received praise from all 4 judges. Ronan Keating said, "I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, but that was better than Katy Perry." While Guy Sebastian added that every singer in the country just literally went, "Oh my gosh." Ben, life is short. Sometimes it pays to save your good metaphors for situations that deserve them, especially when the real-life situation provides its own perfect encapsulation. There's no metaphor I could create which would summarise the current Australian mainstream pop industry better than a twat from an Irish boy band who can't get work in Ireland and a guy called Guy who only has a career because of reality TV, on reality TV, arguing about who sung the better version of a shithouse auto-tuned Katy Perry song written by 6 Norwegian cunts on computers in a factory in Oslo.
Yeah, look, I have no idea why you'd express such hyperbole for something so trash. You reckon every singer in Australia is going, "Oh my God, someone did a passable cover of a Katy Perry song."
I also like that what Guy Sebastian, even when he's trying to think of the most heightened exclamation that he can think of, still goes for "oh my gosh."
Yeah.
Because that's the, end of a loaf of white bread version of a exclamation.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Every singer in Australia is
not shit beeped out or not wow, just "oh my gosh."
Fucking bullshit.
You know what you say when your 4-year-old gives you a particularly good stick that they found on the ground? You want to convey excitement
exactly
while out getting your hands too dirty. All right, have you got anything else for this, or shall I move on to the high-end lyrics?
Not really. Lyrics, please, Tom, yeah.
You shot your love through my defences and left me wide open. Feels like my feet can't touch the ground. That's what you've done to me. 3 shitty metaphors for the price of 1 there. As in the Madonna song Like a Virgin, clearly this is about getting reamed by some major dick, possibly while filming a video for Pornhub or perhaps OnlyFans. They tell me that's what the kids are into these days. I'm not sure, but whatever it was, I'm sure it was every bit as dignified as going on X Factor and having your vocal chops assessed by a guy from Westlife, a chick from the Spice Girls, the guy who sang Angels Brought Me Here, and Natalie Bassingthwaite. Now, if those 4 had a gangbang, I'd watch it maybe, but only with the sound off.
Yeah, the lyric, "you shot your love through my defences," sounds pretty gnarly.
And left her wide open with her feet that can't touch the ground.
I imagine she's referring to a cum shot in an OnlyFans video she made with a former Sony record executive with a father who has a reputation for sexual harassment.
Yeah,
so,
it seems like it.
Look, she did a song with Pitbull, Tom. which needed to be much better, admittedly. Pitbull said that he wanted to see her in her birthday suit and that she's not like Vincent van Gogh in the lyrics.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah, not in
real life.
No,
I was going to say she
lyrics.
probably got enough of that from
I
her
want to see you in your
stepdad.
birthday suit. And when he says he's not like Vincent van Gogh, he says that because Tom Pitbull is all ears. So that's
I'll pay that. That's
you
not
pay
terrible.
that.
That's early Beastie Boys
I'm
quality.
not like Vincent van Gogh. I'm all ears. So Pitbull, tick for that one.
It kind of makes sense.
Yeah, having watched
Was that song? I'm assuming that song's better than this too. It couldn't be any worse.
the Pitbull's in it, so it's better.
At least it's
but
got
it's
Mr.
still kind of
Worldwide.
shit. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Look, having watched several of her videos, I can say that she has two distinct styles.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't quite have two musical modes like Justin Derulo, but she has two distinct styles, Tom. So in some videos, okay, one, she has black hair, and in other videos, she has blonde hair.
Wow.
But I can say that in both of those styles, with both hair colours, the music is equally as shit.
Yeah,
so
I had
there
a
you go.
feeling it might be. All right.
Anything else on that?
No.
Okay, she has 300,000 on Spotify.
Wow. That's more than I would have thought.
Yeah.
That's more than Neon Dildo from
Yeah.
the Gym Class Hero.
How much would you pay for this?
If I was walking past the shop and there was a 5-cent coin in the gutter, I'd pick it up for this.
You're going to need $8.
$8.
Sorry.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's a pretty high end. That's
It
like
is.
the second most expensive. What was $20?
Justice Crew.
Justice Crew. Fucking hell.
Which seems insane
this
to
or
me.
the Justice Crew. God,
Seems
there's
insane
a
to me.
nail
Yep.
biter.
3rd
right.
of December for 6 weeks, Tom. For this year to the next. Let's hit it up. It's Macklemore and Ryan Lewis featuring Wans. What the fuck is that guy? Wans?
I don't know.
Wans? Thrift Shop. There you go.
Wow. This
Hit-
was
hit
a
me with this.
huge fucking hit too. I mean, not as worldwide as Gangnam Style, but it was a massive hit. It introduced the world to Macklemore and Ryan Lewis, and you know who's been allowed to forget them since. It was certified diamond in the US and platinum in many other countries. It hit number 1 in several countries, including the US, Canada, and Australia. Now, look, this is not going to make me popular, but I do kind of like this song. I'll admit it. Is it extremely daggy? Yes, it totally is. Although partly on purpose. I mean, it is literally about buying old crap at an op shop.
Yeah.
Is it white rap? Yes, indeed it is. But it is catchy as a motherfucker. And you can dance to it if you want, like if you've had, 12 beers. And also, nobody involved has reality TV connections. Jesus Christ, I thought we were past that, but I guess not.
Yeah.
Look, I know. I'm assuming just from the tone of your replies that you fucking hate this.
No, listen,
I can predict it, and that's fine.
No.
He's a very hateable figure in a lot of respects.
I have fond memories of this song, Tom. I moved back to Australia around the time that this song came out.
That was then,
Roughly-ish.
10 years ago.
A bit before this, but did you... Channel 10 used to have a show called The Loop.
Yes,
You ever see The Loop?
like a video hit sort of knockoff.
So I spent a lot of time, my wife and I, we'd probably, Friday, it's after work, you'd go probably drink too much, be a bit hungover, you'd sit down, and from 9 a.m. to I think 11 a.m. every Saturday, not every week, but once a month or something, you'd be like, let's watch the fucking charts and see what pop songs are on at the moment. So we'd often watch The Loop, and this was on every week for I reckon 6 months or whatever. So
really hit big
look,
around this time.
catchy, yes, agreed, because it has that cool sort of like horn sort of.
I should have checked the samples for this. I forgot to do that. Yeah.
So that was cool. There's an R. Kelly pissed sheets reference.
Sure is.
Which is good. Obviously doesn't take itself too seriously. And it's sort of, I think Macklemore, I assume, if he hasn't, I assume he's said this about the song, but it's sort of the antithesis of that typical hip-hop song, which is all about bravado and bragging about, look at my gold chains and I've got a limo and I'm fucking doing all this bullshit. Whereas this song's effectively about him just going and spending $5 on the cheapest shit imaginable at an op shop.
Lord did it later on with Royals, but this was before it. Yeah, it's just like, I don't care.
So that's what I like about it. Not necessarily in this song, but Macklemore in other songs doesn't have the best flow.
No, he's not
kind
the best
of
rapper.
Not the worst rapper, but he's not the best.
He's no fucking Eminem.
This is very passable, but there's certainly other songs that I've heard of his. I'm just like going, this is fucking terrible. Yeah. So
he's obviously relying heavily on production and stuff like
exactly.
that. I think this was around the time Mark Ronson started getting really huge as well, and I think he did a lot of work equally sort of buoying up people with limited talents into the stratosphere by doing incredibly catchy shit and behind them. Yeah.
So recently, Tom, Macklemore he's coming to Australia now. He's doing one of those package tours where they package up a lot of hip hop dudes. They're going to get together. Mm-hmm. So he's at that point now, 10 years on, where it's like, let's get Macklemore and probably Rex and Effect or some shit. Fuck knows, to come out to Australia and play like 8-minute sets or whatever the fuck it is. But anyway, so this was recent in Australia. We did an interview on TV saying he's come out to do this, and he claims that his kid was conceived at a Shaggy concert because Shaggy's one of the other people that's performing at this thing. So, which is either A, not a true story, B, lame as fuck, or C, fucking radical. What do you think? If you were able to bear children, Tom, and were getting dicked by Macklemore at a Shaggy concert, which I imagine is something you've thought about previously, what song would you wanting to get dicked to? Which Shaggy song do you think you'd be sort of thinking, Macklemore's dicking me. This is the kids conceiving song.
Well, probably my favourite Shaggy song is "Wasn't Me," but that's probably the worst thematically.
No, it's okay. It's okay. There's no right or wrong answer because you can't have kids, Tom. So there's no wrong answer here.
That's right. Well, look, I was going to ask, what's the best thing you've ever found at a charity shop, Ben?
Yep.
I think my personal best was 2 rad martini glasses. Some old guy donated for 50 cents each. Some cheap paperbacks and a variety of last-minute emergency costume party gear. I also like how charity shops are one of those rare retail opportunities that actually improve the further you get away from a city. A bit like hamburgers with the lot and CWA Lamingtons. Almost everything else improves retail-wise as you approach a hub. But, Yeah.
Oh, look, Tom, it's a really good question. It's hard to say. I've bought so much shit from charity shops over the years. Extreme amounts, and even to this very day, I still do. Given that there's a couple of, those old school ones that are fucking massive.
Yeah.
Like a lot of them have shut down over the years, but I still have a couple within like 5 minutes walk from my house. Yep. And my kids actually quite like going there because when you have kids, you sort of realise that every shop sells the same 5 toys. So you go in there and it's just like, there's the Lego. There's the Matchbox
whereas
cars,
in a charity shop, you might actually find some weird old shit they don't sell anymore.
Exactly.
Like a Buzzy Bee covered in lead paint that you're not allowed to sell.
So you go into an op shop.
All those Chinese things that were the little blocks that you glue on little sticks that turned out to be covered in GHB.
Oh, that's,
I mean, that's, you're not going to get that in Toys R Us.
Exactly. So that's the thing, like, you sort of go in and the kids are, most of the time you'll go to an op shop and it'll be, kind of garbage, but when you go in there with kids occasionally, they'll be like, what the fuck is that? And it's like, yeah, great. It's like, it's also $1. And then you're also, not buying more plastic shit for refill. It's like sort of to go into landfill, like it's sort of something you're recycling. And then when you finish with it, you just give it back to them and then they sort of resell it again and the cycle continues. So hard to know what the best thing is. I bought a heap of probably good band shirts there, more like 20 years ago though. Like when you could find a Def Leppard Hysteria shirt for 50 cents. you know, that people sell that on Depop these days for like $400, so it's hard to sort of like compare. But yeah, I don't know. It's I always find it fun because as you mentioned, you never know what you're going to find. So.
Yeah, moving to Melbourne was a bit of a downer in that respect because there's so much sort of hipster traffic in the. Especially the music sections of op shops here that you're not likely to find that much, and the clothes even usually end up in the dedicated retro vintage shops. If there's anything good, it ends up there, and then you're not paying 50 cents from an old lady for charity, you know, like...
Yeah.
Whereas when going to Hobart, like, you just find some crazy shit sometimes, you know? Like, just a fucking sea captain's jacket with matching hat for $2, like... Suddenly you're fucking Macklemore and thinking, I could match this with a fetching kilt over here.
Yeah, definitely don't go to Brunswick op shops.
No, this is pointless.
That.
It's pointless. They're picked clean by each other.
Exactly. I did read, though, that Macklemore was asked whether he still goes to thrift shops. Because after the song, and he's like, oh, yeah, I still like doing it, but I have to wear like a fake moustache and like a wig and a hat or something and a fake moustache. So, look, anyway.
I heard some bloody lefty once saying that they, anyway, politics aside, that some, you know, slightly too concerned about this kind of thing, person saying, it annoys me that he popularised going to, you know, to get hipsters to go to thrift shops and buy stuff, you know, there are people who need those cheap clothes and stuff. I'm like, dude, that ship's fucking sailed. I mean, I know you like the idea that, you know, only poor people go to those shops, but yeah, you can fucking forget that. As soon as the first guy realised that you could get second-hand, you know, fucking... Sugar Hill Gang vinyl in there for 20 cents, then that was the end of that shit.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, for sure. It's certainly...
Or ironic T-shirts in the 90s, you know, oh, this has got a unicorn on it, sick, I'm buying that. You know.
Yeah. There was definitely things, I remember, in op shops you would see sort of late 90s, early 2000s, and it's just like, oh, no one's ever going to want these 1992... bad parachute material tracksuit tops ever again, and they had fucking hundreds of them for like 50 cents, and it's like, you know, it's just like they're gonna have to go in the garbage. And then flash forward to 2015, and probably a bit more closer now, and there's like hipsters that are like wearing the most ill-fitting, shitty looking,
not to mention
Barcelona Olympics
normcore, like, you know, like who's buying all the old Bunnings t-shirts from the ex-employees and stuff. Oh, yep.
Exactly,
you know, so or a fucking Kmart, you know, knockoff American baseball caps with the tag still hanging off the side and shit like that,
So definitely, if you see something, my advice is to any young people: if you're at the op shop and you see shit, it's like no one's ever going to want this ever again. Buy it all now, put it in a box, and then in 5 years' time you'll be able to sell it for 100 times the price.
And if people call you a hoarder, then just tell them that you're trying to get on that TV show about hoarders.
Exactly.
All right,
highlights, lyrics.
Limited edition. Let's do some simple edition. $50 for a T-shirt. That's just some ignorant bitch shit. I call that getting swindled and pimped shit. I call that getting tricked by business. That shirt's hella though, and having the same one as 6 other people in this club is a hella don't. Come take a look through my telescope. Trying to get girls from a brand, man, you hella won't. Now, I don't know about you, but when I see a dude in a Vetements or a Gucci T-shirt, that is kind of what I think as well, without the trying to sound like a black person quite so much. I don't care if it's got fucking diamond lapels and a holographic projection of Pamela Anderson's cans coming out of it. All I can think is that dude paid $600 for that fucking T-shirt. Unless it's giving him free blowjobs in the evening, I think the money could have been better spent at the Salvation Army on, for instance, as Macklemore suggests, a skeet blanket, a broken keyboard, a shit brown leather jacket, a mink that smells like R. Kelly sheets, a kneeboard, Velcro sneakers, a velour jumpsuit, a wolf hat, and your granddad's old overcoat. Yeah, I'd take all of that over one stupid ass off-white shirt or a anti-social social club, exactly the same as every single other person.
Exactly, and that's sort of like, as I mentioned before, with like kids' toys, that's the thing, you know, you're going to
totally.
go, oh shit, there's something that I've not seen before, so.
Yeah, you could pay $400 for a Lego Technics of a Mack truck, or you could get a whole bunch of weird, crazy Japanese knockoff shit. Yeah, that's all I've got to say.
That's it for the year.
Sure. I was
Fantastic.
going to ask you to discuss Beyonce's new Eurobeat Renaissance, but maybe we can talk about that.
Jesus, yeah, hopefully next week. It's a fucking... Beyonce's gone all Eurobeats in on that.
She has. It's time that was a comeback. I hope Melody MC and, Ice MC and, yeah...
All
Hadaway
the MCs
are all lining up.
So absolutely right, for sure.
Erotic,
they'd make a comeback as well.
Yep,
all those guys. I should just point out, biggest song not to hit number 1 this year, Starships by Nicki Minaj.
I thought for a moment you were going to say Starship with We Built This City.
If only.
Maybe if you'd been covered by the cast of Glee.
And look, that song's pretty trash, but I will say that I think Nicki Minaj may pop up in a future episode.
Was that from her sort of brief electro dance period? Is that the one that kind of sounds a bit dancey, or is it more hip hop? She did have a few.
I think this one's a bit more hip hop-ish, but
there was a bit where she went all Beyonce's Eurobeat Renaissance and started wearing like neon and
anyway. This is a bit earlier than that. So it's not a Sir Mix-a-Lot cover as of
no.
Anyway, so thanks for listening. That's 2012. We'll be back next episode with 2013. We've got an Instagram. I'll probably try and update it. There's a YouTube thing or whatever the fuck. And thanks for listening. Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Give us some reggae.